Any corrections or comments on the July 9th, 2024 regular city council meeting?
Comments from me?
Uh, All in favor of adopting?
Motion to approve.
Oh, motion to approve, sorry. Motion to approve.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
We need a second on that.
Second.
Oh,
Second reading.
second. All approve? Do it again?
Motion carries.
Okay. Approval of the minutes of the July 25th, 2024 council workshop meeting. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Any comments or corrections for these?
And then you say all in favor.
All in,
Aye.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Motion approved. The next item we have on the agenda is a special guest. I have I contacted MoDOT about our medians at, not medians, our guardrails at 70 in Bermuda, to have a representative come out to talk to us about the process for citizens to go through if there is a sign down, if there is a median that's broken. And I think it's better to get it from the horse's mouth. And everything, and so we have good contact information, also good information about how the actual process goes. So I am going to invite our representative from MoDOT, the engineer, I forget your name, I'm so sorry,
Tabitha Locke.
Tabitha Locke, MoDOT engineer, to come up and speak to everyone about that.
Well, thank you for having me today. My name is Tabitha Locke. I am the North St. Louis County Area Engineer for MoDOT. So basically, Page North in St. Louis County is my area. I work with our maintenance forces as well as the traffic engineers and our construction forces, and just help to make sure that the whole area is running kind of smoothly, or as smooth as we can, right? So one of the big things that we do have a lot is, as everyone's driving the roadways and everybody's going different directions, how do you report a road concern? So like you'd said, a sign down, if we have guardrail that's hit, even if there's, one that we get a lot is, if there's deer that's been hit on and is on the shoulder, stuff like that. Large objects that are on the shoulder of the interstate. Such things are, MoDOT workers do try to, we drive to different areas and we get a list together, but having customers, as far as the public that drives the roads every day, help to let us know if there's something wrong is extremely helpful. So one of probably the quickest way in order to report a concern is to call MoDOT's TMC. So that is the Traffic Management Center. It is at 141 and 64, the intersection there. There's this,
Used to work out there, right down the street.
yeah, there's you see glass window building there on, at the intersection.
And a big guy standing out front.
Yeah, you see Barrel Bob there, our safety mascot. And inside of that building houses our traffic engineers, and it also has a 24/7 customer service and our our kind of emergency response staff. So if you call the MoDOT TMC, and I'm gonna say the number a couple times just so everybody has a chance to write it down, it's 314-275-1500. And again, that's 314-275-1500. You will get someone answering the phone. You'll actually get a representative that is either in St. Louis, or sometimes you get forwarded to Kansas City because they are the two that have the 24-hour service. But then the person will actually be able to take down the information. They'll take down your contact information. So if there's any questions as we're starting to work through, hey, we can't find, this sign that you're saying is down. Can you help me kind of walk through where it's supposed to be and make sure that we're all on the same page? And they put that into an online database that all of the maintenance forces, as well as like people in my position, have access to look through to make sure that it's getting done in a timely manner. And depending on what it is that's impacted, there's kind of timeframes that we're supposed to hit. So if a stop sign is down, that is what we call a priority one. So it's as soon as you can get there, because that's a safety item that we need to really make sure everybody knows to stop when they need to stop. Other items are things that maybe is like, say, a next business day is you need to be able to look at it and try to get it addressed within about 24 hours, or on a Friday, it can wait till Monday. And then we have what we call kind of routine, that we will be looking at it and trying to get back to the customer, or just get it repaired within about 7 days. So those are kind of the basic ones that are a lot of times potholes, the signs, the guardrail does take a little bit longer. We have what's called a job order contract. So we have a contract that covers the whole area for our guardrail maintenance, that we have a MoDOT internal person that manages, tells the contractor, hey, we have guardrail that's hit, and they come in and schedule it. So we have to get it onto their schedule, and sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but that's when you see, when guardrail's been hit and you'll see like green paint on it, on the side of the road, that means MoDOT's been there to say, hey, this needs done, it's on the schedule to get done, and the contractor will be coming in to get it. So the, one of the other ways, if you're like not driving on the highway, and definitely remember to use your hands-free devices as much as possible, because that is now the state law. So there is actually a way to report a concern on the website at modot.org. And if you scroll down to the bottom of the screen, there's this blue banner that has like a bunch of little links in columns, and in the center column, there is one that says report a road concern. And you click that, and it has a form that basically says, hey, where's the issue, what is it, and what's your information, so if we have any questions, we can give you a call. And that goes the same thing, goes into our online system, and we track that to make sure that things are getting addressed. And also if we have like a reoccurring issue, one of the things that's really helpful with this system is, say if we have flooding in a certain area all the time, it'll be tracked that we've had flooding at this location, and then when it comes time to do a project, we can try to get that fixed during a construction project. So it really helps for us to be able to track, and is really useful for our citizens to help make sure that we're getting items in a timely manner, because we can't drive all of the roadways that MoDOT covers probably as often as we would like. So in our area, it's the Normandy Maintenance Building covers actually a fairly large swath. They're like Page and a little bit, I think it goes basically to St. Charles Rock Road and all the way to the city limits and all the way to the Missouri River. So they cover a very large area, but they are right at, kind of right at Bermuda, I believe. I'd have to look at that. Yeah.
70.
Yeah, Bermuda and 70. So there are buildings there. One of the big items that specific maintenance facility does get hit with is a lot of potholes on I-70. So they have cover, potholing on I-70, potholing in all of our state-owned routes, as well as mowing the routes that aren't interstate, because we have a contract that covers interstate mowing. They pick up trash, they do debris removal off of our interstates, they do the sign repairs, and they also help to, if there's like a need for traffic control for some of our other forces that do like signal work. We have specialty workforces that do signals, but sometimes our maintenance forces get pulled in to help with the traffic control to make sure that the work zone is safe. So they are very, very busy and doing their best to cover the area, but any help with if something is hit and needs to be taken care of is very much appreciated. The other thing that I've been asked to kind of just speak about real quick is we actually have a couple projects in the area. So New Florissant Road has a project that's starting just south of Ferguson, the Ferguson city limits, all the way to the roundabout. And that is actually under contract. We just scheduled the pre-construction meeting with our contractor. And so we don't have a schedule of when the work is officially gonna start and all that, but usually when the pre-construction meeting is scheduled, means that within a month or two, we're gonna be hitting the road and getting stuff going. So that's an exciting thing for the area. Another contract that's actually under contract, the contractor hasn't scheduled when they're gonna start on this section, but is actually 115, so right out here at Lucas Hunt, starting and then going to the city limits is another MoDOT contract that's starting up here soon this summer. So we are excited. Both of those include some signal work, they include sidewalk work, we're putting in some pedestrian crossings, and enhanced items have been added on the Natural Bridge project of pedestrian lighting by working with the cities that they was able to increase pedestrian lighting and a few beautification things similar to, or not quite as fancy as what we have out front, but something to help kind of continue having pedestrian level lighting along Natural Bridge, which is very exciting. So if there's any questions, I'm available as far as to answer them for a few minutes here. And also I'm always available to reach out. My name is the local contact for St. Louis for our area, and that's available on the website. I never call myself, and I don't have a card on me to tell you what my office number is, to be honest. I don't have that one memorized.
So on the website, when I put in the request, they know by your address who to contact? Is that?
Yes, so it's when you put in the request for me to come, or for someone to come tonight, my area is here. So it goes to our communications department, but they sent it to me in order to say, like, is this something that you can cover, make contact?
So if someone did just go to MoDOT.org,
Mhm.
and then just put in like a request, it would definitely just come in though, by the address.
For the, like, road concern?
Yeah, or a question.
Okay,
I
a
think
question.
Was the question and comments on there?
Yeah, questions, comments, what they end up doing is it goes to our district office, and then they push it to who needs to answer.
Okay.
So for a lot of things, I am kind of the area contact, but if it's a strictly maintenance question, if there's a maintenance superintendent that's over the area, that it might go directly to him versus coming to me. If it's an active construction project, our construction staff would probably get it, and then they more like let me know, hey, this is what's going on, but they're the ones that cover it. A lot of times if it's something like this, it's like a after hours meeting or making contact with a city. That is me. I'm the main one that does a lot of coordination with the cities. I do a lot of coordination with our state legislative branch and work with county, but then I kind of help tie all of the different pieces of MoDOT together to make sure that, like, a construction project is getting the information that maintenance needs them to have, and just trying to keep everybody communicating well.
Chief of Police.
Hi,
Yeah.
I'm
Hi.
Chief Sanders. How are you this evening?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. I know you said that you don't necessarily get the road concern questions directly, but since you facilitate for the region, a couple of things. Just to kind of backtrack, the project that you just said is going to happen on 115, that's 115 and everything east. So none of that would necessarily be in our footprint, correct?
Right,
Okay.
it's right at your border though, so I figured you guys probably had somebody that drives it.
I just don't want you to get a call in a few months, like, what happened to our side? It's everything outside
Yes.
of our venue. The question that I have is I put in a contact with MoDOT probably about 60 days ago, and I don't know if you're familiar with the overpass at Bermuda and 70, right by the MoDOT building. But we've had probably about a dozen jumpers there in the past 10 years. And of the jumpers that have gone off, I've had some officers, including myself a couple months ago, who were almost pulled over by jumpers. And one of the questions that I had was, I know that there's a gate erected on the side where the pedestrian crossing is, where there's a sidewalk. This is the opposing side, where it just kind of goes over onto the highway. And for some reason, none of these jumpers live in our footprint, but it just is a beacon for people that want to jump off and commit suicide. So I can get you the police report numbers to just prove the statistics.
Okay.
But we've had a couple of really, really near misses with our staff and with residents that are, or people, citizens that are coming into our community. And I just thought it might be a nice deterrent to put up a gate on the other side, so we don't have to hang off the highway and it just, doesn't serve as that beacon for suicidal subjects. For some reason, people love the Bermuda overpass, I don't know why. But again, about 60 days ago, I was hanging over the edge holding on to someone, and he was a big guy, so, yeah, it's pretty
Yeah,
scary and
that is
pretty
very
dangerous.
scary.
So now that you're here, I thought this would be a great opportunity. Also, the last thing I was gonna say was, for about a year or two, we had a big dip in the road down here in front of the post office. And one of my sergeants was communicating with someone at MoDOT. They said it was MSD, MSD said it was MoDOT. It was to the point where the road had sunk in so much, people were actually driving around it. And we had placed cones and stop signs, all kinds of stuff to try to prevent damage to vehicles. But then people were leaving the roadway to kind of circumvent and go around it. After a lot of noise, we finally got it fixed, and I noticed the other day, just last week, there's another one just on the other side of the roundabout, just before, between the Lee's Chicken, before Lee's Chicken, but kind of similar to where O'Reilly's parking lot is, and it's running the length of the road again, and there's another big dip that's kind of starting here in the road, where it looks like the road's collapsing. So if I could put those on your radar tonight, that'd be great.
Yeah, definitely. And I do think that I've seen something about the fence request. So the police reports would be very helpful. We have, at MoDOT, we do have what we call safety funds that we can try to get something done, especially if there's a safety concern, that we have there's a little more flexibility, and sometimes there's a little bit of money that I can snatch up to get stuff, so.
I love that, thank you.
Yeah, so that would be very helpful with that, and then, so east of the
Can I email it to
roundabout.
you?
Yes,
Is your email address?
so Tabitha, TABITHA, .lock, LOCKE, @modot.mo.gov.
Thank you so much, I'll get those over to you tomorrow. I can't send the full report, but I'll send the face-based incident report, just so you can see the
Even,
documented amount.
so if you give me, the report numbers and that, we all share kind of a system. So if it's inside of,
Care.
I'm not sure if I think so. I don't remember. So MoDOT has a system that pulls out of the police database. So as long as it's in there, if we have the report number, we can look it up.
I'll send them tomorrow, thank you so much.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
I wanted to know whose responsibility for the upkeep of Natural Bridge as far as grass cutting, damage to any of the sidewalks?
So Natural Bridge is an interesting one.
Okay.
So like I had said, that we're working with some of the cities east of here in order to put ped lighting in. So Natural Bridge in this section, we worked with Normandy, we worked with UMSL, I think there was one other, and Belnor, thank you, to put in wider than usual sidewalks, the pedestrian level lighting, the kind of highway level lighting with the nice poles, and the medians being with the fancier concrete as well as the plantings in them. That project was done, I want to say sometime around 2016, and it has the maintenance of certain items, so the pedestrian level light poles, the light poles that are the black painted light poles, and all of the plantings, as well as like the extra concrete at the median, is either like Normandy, Belnor, or UMSL, depending on the location. And a lot of the extra vegetation piece is maintenance for the city or UMSL, depending on which one. Now, other sections of like Natural Bridge, what you'll see is we won't have, so just east of Lucas and Hump, what we're gonna install is we're gonna still have like that buffer zone that out front is grass in between the road and the sidewalk.
Yeah.
But the city's actually decided to do a stamped concrete in order to help keep with the like grass cutting down, because it was something that they're like, hey, we'd rather spend the money to be able to put in this kind of a decorative concrete instead of having grass mowing all the time. Otherwise, MoDOT does mow, but we don't mow near as often as what a lot of people would like us to. We only get to mow really a few times a year, and it's one of those things that gets, you know, we schedule it to be, hey, this week we're gonna be mowing Natural Bridge, and then there's several potholes on 70, and there's signs down, and then it takes 3 weeks to get done. So it's definitely not as much as what we'd want our like front yards to look like. And if there is an area that's like really growing up weedy, that's in MoDOT maintenance, again, you can report a road concern, do the call through the TNC, and it'll get directed down through either myself, the superintendent, to Normandy Maintenance Building that, hey, this area is getting bad, we need to look at it, make sure that the site distance is clear, and that people can safely be in the areas they need to be.
So in other words, basically, the cities, if they want to keep them up to a certain standard, then they would have to do it, because MoDOT is not able to do it as often, as frequent, but it is MoDOT's responsibility.
It depends on the area
Depending on-
along
right.
Natural Bridge, yeah,
Right,
we have,
right.
so between, like, I think most of it in Normandy, and this is without me being able to kind of look, we have like a signed agreement and that with Normandy on the areas that you guys are maintaining versus MoDOT, or versus UMSL.
So that was that an agreement that, that Normandy put into play with MoDOT to do that?
Yes,
Okay, so-
during the
Great Street.
Great Streets project.
Great Street.
Okay, so that's something where we can address that. Awesome. Okay, that's fine. That was the main thing. I just wanted to know, because I know at this point, we have our maintenance people doing that, doing the upkeep, and it's like, that's frequently. So I'm not for sure when is MoDOT ever able to do it, if our people are doing it. So that was just something I wanted to know. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Other questions?
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry.
First of all, Tabitha, I wanted to commend you and your department. In the wintertime, those trucks are out there, cause I'm up, so they're out there rolling 3 or 4 or 5 of them at a time, like 5 o'clock, 4:45 in the morning. And number 2, I wanted to ask you, what's the turnaround period? Like if you get a call to remove a deer or some big object out of the way, what's the turnaround period for that?
So a lot of times if it's in the driving lane,
Mm-hmm.
it is what we call the priority one. So we'll be calling and staff will be going out to get it pushed off the road in order to not be a traffic hazard. Now, once it's on the shoulder, or if it's on the shoulder to begin with, those are usually, depending on kind of the size in that, either a next day or up to 7 days. Just because of, like, staffing wise, if it's on the shoulder or past the shoulder, it does take a little longer because it's not a traffic hazard, but it is an eyesore, and we try to get to it as soon as we can get it scheduled.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a question. So the rest of Natural Bridge, that project over there, you've been working with the municipalities on either side, so Northwoods on one side, Beverly Hills on down Uplands Park and all the rest of them, okay? So, they have copies of the plans and what the stuff's gonna look like?
So I believe they have a piece of the plans for their section. And once the contractor is actually the plans for that project, actually any MoDOT project that's under construction are available on the website. So anybody can go and get the plans for that project. Now, we've been working with the cities on kind of placement of different things, so they had helped, and they had seen plans as we were working up to those final plans. I don't have that project's number
No, I can probably.
down in order to tell you exactly where it is, but on the MoDOT's homepage, there's a bar across the top that has it says local, and then it has about, and it has different comments. Well, all the way on the right side, it says working with MoDOT, and if you hover over that section with your mouse, and then a bunch of options come out, there's one that says, I think it's online plans room,
Okay,
is I believe what the section is. And then that you can get actually the contract plans and the plans that are out. There's also a location that we have more the preliminary plans that are usually a little easier to digest for someone just kind of wanting to look at hey, how is this impacting my house? And we have a little more color coding and stuff versus just white and black lines on the paper. And those are under the local, and you go to St. Louis section, and then there's an area that asks, says ongoing work. And then there's a north area section that has all of the projects that are in north area. And there's actually a couple of them on Natural Bridge right now.
okay. Do you have old plans? I mean, the Great Streets project, for example, is that archived somewhere?
Yes, so we have the archive plans. I would hope the city has the archive plans as well.
We do.
But, okay.
Yes.
I was gonna say, if you don't, I can get them for you. Yeah.
And that's the part that, so the entire, what I'm asking about is the entire project, all the engineering, all of the watering systems, all that stuff should be in that plan?
Yes, that would be in the construction plans.
Okay. Thank you.
Slot, one other question.
Mhm.
I'm Third Ward City Councilman Nelson, and our ward is 3, and then it goes into 2 and 1, Bermuda Road. Is Bermuda Road a state highway or is it normies?
No, Bermuda's the piece that, and this is me going not off a map to double check, but I believe the only piece that's MoDOT is actually right at the interchange.
That's in the same.
And then it's,
St. Louis County,
city and county.
all St. Louis.
Is it all
County.
St. Louis County?
All
St. Louis
Okay.
County?
I was gonna say, I wasn't sure if it switched on that one.
So that's all St. Louis County, Bermuda Road.
Yeah, other than just right at the interchange of 70.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
I have to apologize because I put in a request for her to come and talk to us, and it completely slipped my mind. So I'm really sorry that I didn't have to email everybody and let them know that she was coming. Thank you for coming back.
Yeah. Well, and thank you for having me, and thank you for the compliment on the snowplow. Our, definitely our men and women, and I mean, I've been in the plow truck earlier in my career. We work really hard. They actually do 24 hours in the plow trucks when we have storms. And that is another thing that the maintenance forces, as well as our construction inspectors, our traffic engineers, up until you get to a certain point, we're required to have our CDLs, and we're out there helping to try to keep our roads safe when there is a storm. So
I
that
can
means
vouch
that.
for 47 of those years.
Excuse me, can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
On Natural Bridge, when it comes to semis and trucks in general, when they put the roundabout on Natural Bridge, did they take into consideration that we might have big trucks coming in damaging the, any of the road?
The like aesthetics or the roadway?
Just roadway, just in general, yeah. Is there any way to have trucks, 18-wheelers not use that area?
So I know the roundabout was designed, so there's a truck apron is what we call it, that centerpiece where it's like slightly raised, but it's not like a full curb. So that's called a truck apron, so that 18-wheelers can use that in order to go around. We as MoDOT are not able to say like this is the 18-wheelers or something aren't allowed. I do think that there's some ordinances that the cities can do, but I would definitely urge you to think through, you know, the deliveries, trucks of different businesses in your city and that, because we definitely have, we have concerns sometimes of when we do have a nice area for people to be able to, you know, use walkways as well as drive, as well as ride bikes. One of the issues that does come up in that design is how do trucks interact with all of those different uses. We do design for it, but it doesn't always mean that they are like easily go through or that it doesn't impact the, you know, daily users of the roadway, so.
Just curious, because I know we get a lot of traffic when 70 is backed up and a lot of trucks get off of it. I understand we have to, you know, for businesses they have to, but I was just curious how that works.
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
I have one question. Now, we already talked about the grass cutting, but the grass cutting along the side of the highway, are you guys on the schedule for that, or you cut it as needed?
Are we talking about on 70?
Yeah, on 70.
Okay.
Right at the exit of Bermuda Road and Highway 7.
On Interstate 70, we have a contract for the mowing of along the interstate and at the interchanges that we manage, but is done by contracted forces. Those forces, I believe 70 is 3 times during the summer is when it gets cut. We also have contracted forces doing some sweeping along 70, which is actually, I think it was due to start the beginning of this week. And it was starting at the west end and then they'll be coming through. So there's different pieces, but it is still managed by MoDOT. So if there's an issue or sometimes what you see is the contractor will come through, they'll do like the big mowing with a, missing the word for a second, sorry.
Tractor.
Yeah, with a tractor, a brush hog, yes. So with a tractor and a brush hog, they'll do the big mowing and then they'll actually come through after that's completed and do weed eating. But if that weeding, say, doesn't get done, or if there's an area that it seems like they missed, again, putting in a call report, because then we can actually be like, hey, you guys missed this, or was it not, did it somehow not get in the contract that our forces need to go take care of it, and we can get it addressed. No, the mowing does take a little longer to get to though, for sure.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So next we have citizen comments. Kimberly Moore.
Hello, everyone. So glad the lady from MoDOT is here. A few of my complaints over the past few months, Sam will tell you, have been in reference to that. Right off of Bermuda near 70, I can tell you unequivocally, and I can give you pictures with dates, they're not coming 3 times during the summer. And the few times that they do come and cut the grass, they do it very sloppily and they don't do weeding. So, which is shocking to me because MoDOT is right off the highway. They should see that it's in disarray. So I would just like, I know it can't be cut every 2 weeks and be pristine the way lots of us like to keep our home, but at least once a month, because it really does bring down the property value and the aesthetic and what people consider and think of the area when they drive through. And it's 6-foot weeds off the highway. Because I go further down in Creve Coeur or in Bridgeton and I don't see that. So I know they may have some contracts, and I know that several people here told me that because you all were so infrequent, that we had previous people like, gosh, I forgot his name. What's the gentleman's name that passed? I forgot. Rodney. Your position. He would go in and clean up because you all were so infrequent. But with you all being off the highway, if they could just put a little bit more care and have a schedule. I understand that, you know, you were talking about things get delayed, but if that's a separate contract and your guys are doing streets, we shouldn't have to call April, May, and June, and July to get a grass cut, because I'm already expecting that we're not gonna get the grass cut before it gets cold outside. So we're gonna have 6-foot weeds all winter long. It's just been, it's been looking very bad.
So the contract mowing is, you know, they're scheduled for different cuts. And like I said, if there's something that it sounds like they have missed, definitely put in a call report, because that's how we can make sure that, one, we're holding our contractors to what they need to be doing, which is always, you know, something that
Right.
all of us want, as well as if they are missing something, that we can get it worked into the schedule to get something addressed. Now, as much as I would love to, we can't necessarily get it done once a month.
Right, that's fair.
But as far as, like you mentioned, Creve Coeur, Chesterfield,
Even Bridgeton down the street.
Bridgeton as
Yeah.
well, they actually have, they do mowing themselves in order to make it look as good as it does. So they do plantings, any of the extra, like landscaping that you see, especially like Chesterfield
Yeah.
and Creve Coeur.
definitely, yeah.
All of those are managed by the city. They were installed by the city as well as maintained. Maryland Heights does the same thing. And they just, awareness, they spend a lot of money every year in order to make those areas look that good. And it definitely makes it hard, because you do see a difference. And it's not that MoDOT's paying special attention to them, it's really that they've said,
They've taken it on themselves.
yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that. This how my phone is it? No, okay. So with that said, and I think I emailed about that before, is that since,
Here, one more
oh, sorry.
minute. You put one more minute. I'm still waiting.
Oh, cause I didn't talk most of my time. So I guess, so with that concern, since we don't have what we used to, so when we used to have our, city department, they would pick up trash 4 days out the week, and then 5 they do recycling for the whole city. Since they don't have as much work, is there some kind of we can get together, whether it's with MoDOT or just say, since they don't come as frequently, to just upkeep the whole city, because it just over the past year or two has really been looking bad, especially since Rodney passed. My other thing was going to be in reference to Natural Bridge. A few months ago, I did come up here and say that I'd be willing to help. I don't even live over here, but I'd be willing to help with those. I think we only have 3. We don't have as much of a bountiful area as Creve Coeur does, but I already priced this out and told Mark for $60 for each of those things. We could do some sustainable things, or maybe do some pops of color. I don't know if Mark sold the watering can, but I just really want to implore you all to not think about putting those over with concrete. That's one of the first telltale signs of a low economic area, to start getting rid of greenery and trees and shrubbery and plantings. And 24/1 has had a huge thing trying to get people to plant trees and revitalize areas. So I just think it may be difficult right now, but we shouldn't just kind of get rid of everything. If you have community members that are willing to help, let's figure out a way to do that and not blight our area ourselves.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Moore.
Thank you.
CC Parker?
Good evening. First, I want to thank whoever put on the Shakespeare in the Park. That was lovely. More of that. Looking forward to the jazz concert in October. Other thing, not so great, we are still having a problem with prohibited dog breeds in our area. It happened again a couple weeks ago. There's still some like rumors about what happened with the dog. I just know that the guy was walking 2 prohibited breeds. Something happened. One of them ended up dead and getting taken away by animal control. The rumor is the dog actually turned on on his wife, and he had to kill it. That is the rumor right now. My dad likes to be outside. He plays with the feral cats and all that. But he's beginning to like take a knife with him or a golf club just to go outside, take out the trash, things like that. I don't know what can be done. There's, folks that say, well, my dog is grandfathered in. My understanding that the only way you can have a prohibited breed right now is if your dog is like 30 years old, because that ordinance was signed into effect a long time ago. So that's just, yeah, it's really getting to be a problem. And there are a lot of children in our neighborhood. I know a few years ago there was a child that was airlifted out of one of the communities because of people mauled her. So just putting that out as awareness. It's pretty much all I have, except that, yeah, people are just getting tired. I'm beginning to see people walk their dogs, and again, like one of them, he's a Navy vet. He open carries, and he's ready to put some lead into an animal. And I mean, that's where we are now, right now, you know. And if it's not happening in your neighborhood, good for you, but it's definitely happening in mine.
Thank you. Terry Gannon?
Do I have to say where I went? No, okay, alright. I just wanted to let everybody know, if you liked the Shakespeare in the Park, there's another event coming up. September is National Underground Railroad Month, and Archer Alexander, I don't know if you know who he is, but he's a historical figure. It's a whole big long story. Anyway, he's buried over in St. Peter's Cemetery. And on September 22nd at 1 p.m., there's going to be a Jubilee celebration to honor his Day of Freedom, which came on September 24th, 1863. There's going to be an actress, Peggy Neely Harris, who will portray Louisa, his wife, as she shares the life of her husband, Archer Alexander. Everyone's welcome to attend. They're also going to have a statue or a memorial place there. And as you come in the main entrance of St. Peter's Cemetery, there's like an island, and it's going to be like right there. They had a presentation not too long ago when they discovered his unmarked grave, and they had a whole big presentation. It's nice and shady even on a hot day. So mark your calendars for that. It's really
And what time does it start?
1 o'clock on September 22nd. So the memorial spot will be listed on the National Underground Railroad Network to Freedom. Archer Alexander was buried there on December 8th, 1880, in a public lot that holds hundreds of unmarked graves. But I'll tell you what, the guy who runs the cemetery there, who's from Normandy, he really is a good record keeper. And when my friend Doris Keevan-Frank, she's the one who came here and taught people how to research the history of their homes. When she went there to see if Archer was buried there, they really took the time and went through their records till they found him. So, you know, it's quite an honor. His statue is in Washington, D.C. You know, he's the one, here's Lincoln, and then he's freeing himself.
Okay.
So, yeah.
There's also Crew Papa Bell out there, correct?
Oh, we've got lots of famous
Yeah.
people out there at St. Peter's. And, you know, when I was talking to them, they have a big endowment, you know, so that cemetery will be well maintained for a very long time. It's nice to have them in our city boundaries.
Right, thank you. It's reports of officers. So
I think she wants to talk.
Sure. Sure, come to the screen.
Hello, my name is Lily Jackson, and LeCree Gas was on my property, and I went out to talk to them to see what happened, what's going on. So they said, come to the city hall because they're changing meters or something in the neighborhood, but I'm the only one that got meter change. I called down here, no answer. I come down here, Sam said he don't know nothing about it. And can I find out anything about it at all?
What is it now?
So you said Laclede gas?
Well, I'm
Spire.
old to Inspire, but
The
I'm
gas
going to
company
Cleveland.
changed the meter out.
Excuse me?
The gas company changed your meter out?
Yes. But the thing it is, I'm still paying the bills there. And they said that's Spire's property. And it's my property too, but if they see danger, aren't they supposed to tell me something? Nobody recognized me at all for nothing?
Did they give a reason why they?
No, I can't talk to anybody.
So Spire's been changing our
Change the
meters
meter,
all
Change
the
the
that's
time.
what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah,
They
they
changed my
changed
meter
They
out
changed
several months ago.
But my
So
point
that's what I'm
is,
trying
sir,
to see.
And they didn't
If I
know
come
they
to
just
the
have to hang.
office like
They
they
did.
said, nobody can explain it to me,
Right. I
nobody can
understand
know
that.
anything. It's
That's
not
true.
just the first day, this is all last week. I'm trying to find out what's going on.
Okay, that's.
And if it's a danger for them, it's certainly a danger for me, and I didn't know anything about what's going on out there on my property.
Right.
I wouldn't say, I don't want you to go home and think you're in danger. It's not a danger. Like Chief Sanders said, everyone's meter is getting changed. It's just
Excuse me.
an update.
The lady from Spire, when I spoke with her, she said that it's Spire's property. If they see danger, they can come on there and do what they want. So my point is to you, if you're trying to correct, it's my feelings that I gotta be satisfied with.
Do you
If it
smell,
was-
do you
excuse me?
smell gas? No?
I didn't have any complaints.
Okay.
But my point is, if it's their property and they can come because of danger, don't they supposed to let me know something's dangerous on my property?
I
Listen.
understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, sometimes, maybe she's.
I don't need no excuses, ma'am.
Spire has easements and so
They,
does Missouri.
they own all their equipment and meters, so they can change it out whenever they see fit. But if you certainly smell gas at your house,
I
you
never
should
mentioned
certainly call
anything
them.
about smelling any gas at all. I only told you that they were on my property and no one informed me that they were there
Okay,
and the reason they were there.
okay.
That's what I said. I never caught any complaints at all.
Well,
Right.
Ms.
It
Jackson,
could-
Ma'am,
I'll talk to you, can I talk to you about this after the meeting? I can explain
Yes,
more
ma'am.
to you.
okay,
I promise I will.
thank you.
No problem.
All right, thank
I mean,
you.
basically,
All right.
the lady probably misspoke about that. She misspoke about being, a problem, a danger. She should just say that they were changing that.
Where am I at? Oh, report to the officers. Oh, I wanted to say thank you to all of, the police officers, the Parks Board. Shakespeare in the Park was very beautiful. We had, people come from Pasadena, from Belle Noire, from Normandy, from Northwood, so it was a great turnout. And I think a very good takeaway from it is I talked to the production manager, and she told me that the turnout that we actually had at our venue was larger than ones that they had at Tower Grove or Shaw. So
Wow.
that was quite a accomplishment, so thank you so much. It was a very beautiful night, and everything. Certainly, I wanna also let everybody know that two things that we have initiated. If you haven't looked, there is a television screen in the lobby that is the calendar for the city. And my goal for that is to use it as a communication, because we do not have a sign outside, as a communication for citizens, so that you can see flyers and things that are going on. So please take a look at it on the way out. It looks really, really good. The other thing that is gonna go out pretty soon, and I think the mailer already, did it go out already? The newsletter?
Very soon.
The newsletter is scheduled to come out, do we know when?
We don't have a scheduled date yet.
Okay. The newsletter has been printed, and we have a printer, so it should be coming out pretty soon. I'll get an update on the actual date. The other thing is we do have another event that is going to be put on by the Parks Department, which is October 5th. It is Jazz Night, and it's going to be at the Core Collaborative. There will be food trucks and also drink trucks, and that will be happening on October. What time is that stuff?
4 to 6.
4 to 6, October 5th. So please come out for that. We also have, well, I'll let you say your events. We also have some events that are coming up that the Chief of Police has initiated and in charge of. So I just wanted to thank everybody that came out, for Shakespeare in the Park. It was beautiful, and hopefully we can keep those things going. So, I'll start down.
Dennis or Sam, have you had any luck getting a hold of Ferguson Flarson about those trees? I actually got another call because I have to duck and I'm 5'10". If I walk on Bermuda now, they're hanging down about this high on me. They just need to be trimmed. I noticed Monday I was behind the waste management truck and they hit a branch that was hanging down this far. They just drove right through it. So it's a matter of time till it damages something in the park. So if someone can follow up on that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
For me, can I speak now? For me, it's just the speeding on Bermuda. We have to have somebody there. These folks have just really just lost their mind on Bermuda. They're going at least 60 miles an hour. So we need some help on Bermuda. That's all I have.
Yes, I know, Stacy had, texted us about the dogs, in the area running loose, big dogs, until it's told us about the one that had to be killed by its own owner. We do have an ordinance. We discussed it, but it was really nothing that basically we was able to do about it. We could look at it, address it, but we don't have anywhere to store dogs, unfortunately. And it's not us to be able to do anything with dogs. It usually will come down to the police department or animal control. And animal control is not coming out like that. So maybe that's something that we can talk amongst each other, as far as addressing, at least looking at the ordinance and seeing if there's something we can do, some changes, as far as that. As far as, I didn't make it to the Shakespeare in the Park, and I heard that it was a good event. Unfortunately, I had residents asking, was that just for people in Ward 3? Because we only had one sign through the whole community. We have 4 wards. We have one sign, back to back, in the community. Is it just Ward 3 paying for it, or is it the city of Normandy paying for it? So the park department is going to put anything on for the community. They need to make sure that we have some kind of something to tell us that in every ward to let us know that we have an event going on. If that's too hard, then maybe we should think about holding events if we can't get with all the people in the community. That's all 4 wards. When we pick in the locations, once again, I don't know how it's been done, but we still want to kind of utilize normally when we're picking events. And once again, I addressed it before, the park that we should be holding events is Hosell Park, period. That's the park of Normandy. I understand we have some construction going on at this point over there, but let's think about that in the future. I know they said something about the Jazz Fest in the park location. I don't know how that was picked. But it's over in St. Charles Rock Road and other communities that's really a little bit ways from Normandy. So once again, how do we pick that area? And maybe it's something that I'm missing. I would like for that to be addressed. As far as me questioning MoDOT about Natural Bridge being upkept, we made an agreement to upkeep something that somebody else was supposed to take care of, but we can't take care of our own city. You got grass growing all over the place in different derelict houses. San Diego, I keep talking about that, the brush that needed to be done, so I guess I could say the Parks Department, not the Parks Department, but Maintenance Department did address it, but they made it look like a mess. I would like for everybody, every council person, and Sam, I would like for you to go take a drive down Santa Monica, San Diego, and see what kind of job that they did. It looks like trash, and I don't like it. Basically, it's like they poured a bunch of poison on it and wanted to die, and it looks bad. And I wouldn't wanna have to look outside and see it every day. Wanna also give thumbs up to St. Charles. A guy from St. Charles came up, our park was looking, Hosel Park was we cut the grass, but then they had to come out with their weed eater, somebody from St. Charles, and trim it. Somebody from another city had to come to our city and trim our park. What's the problem? Some of those, I would like to have those addressed at some time. It doesn't have to be in tonight, but I would like for all the council people to go down there and take a look at what a job, horrible job, I think was done, by throwing that poison on that greenery, and that was brownery. That's all.
Just so everyone's aware, the Parks Department, not the Parks Department, sorry, not you. The Parks Board has meetings every first Wednesday of the month. And their minutes are printed in the packets. So when they make their decisions about where and everything, Tony Evans is the liaison, and Tony Washington is the Parks Department, the Parks Board chair. So if you have questions about like, why did you pick this area, or why is it gonna be there, or why didn't you do this, I would certainly encourage you to talk to either Tony. The other thing is too, the advertisement for it was on our website. It was also on the Shakespeare in the Park website.
Okay, so why did they put a sign up there?
That was actually a neighborhood thing. Somebody in the neighborhood put a sign there, so they made the sign.
So we're spending our taxpayers' money then.
There's not enough communication.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
If everybody's not on that, then usually if we're trying to do something about parking, if we're trash pickup, we put signs out in every ward. So if we don't have money to put signs out in every ward, we need to think about strategically what we're doing.
We are thinking about it, so.
Right, evidently it didn't happen because we didn't have a sign in every all four wards.
It's a learning in process.
Okay,
What I don't wanna do is disregard the volunteer work that they've done, which is.
I'm not disregarding that.
But I don't want it to seem that way, is what I'm saying,
But
so.
that was not said,
I just
disregard was
wanted
not
to
said.
speak to some of the decisions that the park board made
Okay.
regarding the Shakespeare in the Park advertising. We had a really great response to the Jazz Fest through a Facebook event and an ad that was put out.
Okay.
So it was determined, instead of spending money on putting out signs that people may not see, to actually invest money on making this Facebook event ad, which, actually we had a great turnout because of that, because a lot of people did see that. And maybe that's something that we need to look forward to in
Yeah, I
the
think
future
it's
for other
definitely
events, is having additional funds for both.
The next meeting for the Parks Board is when?
The 21st.
The 21st.
You wanna come?
And they're going to basically,
You wanna come?
no, please, they're gonna basically like go over what happened at Shakespeare in the Park and everything, and I think that would be a great opportunity for you to come
Yeah,
and to
that's
talk
fine.
about.
This is from neighbors, it ain't from me.
No.
So don't take it personal.
No, it's not personal. I'm
Okay.
saying everybody's input is valid, so I think it would be a great opportunity. We have the meeting and to
Right.
come and say, this is what neighbors have said. Or if your neighbors wanna come, they certainly can come too.
Right.
Or to email or something like that, and we can get the comments to the Parks Board.
That's fine. Now, I'm just addressing it from the neighbors, so don't take it like it's from me. I represent the city. Okay.
It's my turn. Nuisance properties, can we revisit that ordinance? Because we have a few nuisance properties in the area that we really need to talk about.
I will ask, did you get the email that I asked about the nuisance, or the code enforcement? I responded, yeah. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Councilman.
Okay. Good evening. I wanted to address the website for Norman. Ward 3, so quite a few residents. We should be able to go on the website and obtain any information that we need. And it should pop up giving us dates of what's going on within the community, and we don't have that. That website is so whack and out of date. It really needs to be put up to date. I can personally say that I'm embarrassed by it. So how can we rectify that issue of updating Normandy's website? So that it can be feasible for anybody that goes on the website to get information.
We can certainly address it at the workshop.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
can we make a definite
No.
timeline of when that's gonna be done? Because
The
it's
next
been
workshop is
out
gonna
of
be-
line for, I can say for at least 9 years, 9 to 10 years.
The next workshop is gonna be dedicated to the budget, so certainly after that in September. Here's the time.
And what about a live individual to answer the phone out there?
That is also something that we're addressing. So, yeah, that's in the works also, so. But that's also a budget issue, which we're gonna be talking about at the workshop.
And I did address in about us having more patrol in the area, Ward 3, 2, 1, and 4, with our police officers, and I'm not seeing that. I'm out there all times, and you can't go by the vehicle or the vehicles there, because I'm out there walking. I walk sometimes more than Tony does, not as fast. But just seeing the traffic, different people, the noise, guns going off, and it isn't the apartment complex, it's coming from right in our area.
And I think that's something that the chief would have to address, if you.
Yeah,
see
it's
something.
coming from our area.
So we can, yeah.
I'm very coherent, so, and I hear well, and I see well.
Thank you. Councilwoman Nelson, or Councilperson
Okay.
Nelson, I'm sorry.
Yes, I don't have anything public to say, but I would like to express that I have a few things when we go into a closed session with personnel. Okay, so thank you.
Are we doing personnel?
It's always on the.
Yeah, it's on the,
Okay, so it's my turn? All right, so, in terms of code enforcement, there is a committee being formed that includes Karen, Steve, me. We have Tony.
And then,
Okay, so we really can't have any more council
no,
people.
we can, because it's not gonna be a, what is it? It's not gonna be a,
Quorum,
it's gonna be an advisory committee.
advisory.
Yeah, we
committee,
can
okay.
have, so.
So we can have more people.
So how many can
Yeah.
we have?
You can have less than 5.
Less than 5.
Four.
So we've got four,
Four.
but we also have some community people.
Yeah, we have two community people. that are
Right, and so we probably, can we have more community people on there who might wanna be involved?
Is this an advisory committee, and you guys are gonna be, well, when you guys set the date, and you guys, my goal is to have as many, like when you have the meeting, to have citizens come in.
Right.
And to discuss like, why you're like out,
Got
in a more informal type situation.
Right.
And everything, so you get more citizen input and more open conversations.
Yes.
And everything when it's an advisory board and everything,
got
so
it.
like a workshopping with you guys and citizens.
So it's an advisory, which is great. I have been working on a citizen's guide to code enforcement for a couple of months now. I've got it in basic layout, but I'm still working on, and this will require some conversation, and we'll probably do it at that meeting, is a flow chart that lets people know exactly what happens when a complaint comes in. You know, what does the code enforcement officer do? How long does it take? How many days between various steps? Because I think it's important that everybody kind of understands this. So we'll be working on that. The other thing is, and it was related to what Terry reported on, I got a call today, and it was from Sandy Brooks, who is the executive director of the St. Louis Chamber of Commerce. And it reads, I am asking if the city of Normandy would be the government partner in our application to the National Endowment for the Arts. There is no other commitment, but participation in the project is certainly welcome. And that has to do with the memorial to be built at St. Peter's UCC. And I've got a copy of the design that I can send to everybody. I just got this, so I didn't have a chance to send it to everybody, but there's a link to his story that explains who he is. What they're asking, and what I told her today, is that I couldn't make that commitment. I would have to ask the council tonight. Doesn't cost us any money. They just want a partner, because the location is in Normandy. They want the city to be the partner on the grants that they're writing to various places.
Do they have a deadline? Is it
well-
something that we can talk about in the workshop?
Well, she wanted a verbal, and that, I said we probably have to do a proclamation, right? Yeah. And so I will send you right now. No, I won't. I will send you a copy of the email and the contact information and so forth, but it doesn't cost any, there's no, they have to have a government, or it helps the grant applications, to have the city in which the memorial is going to be built to be a partner in it, so that we're aware of it, and all that. Other than that, that's it.
Thank you. City Administrator.
Yeah, I have a few things on my report, and I'll just kind of go over my written report. Again, we presented the first draft of the fiscal year 2025 budget. I know not everyone was there, was able to make the workshop, but we'll have a first reading tonight, and I'll kind of recap a few of the things that we went over, and then we'll, as Yolanda alluded to, we'll have a workshop this month and go in full detail, and then we will probably have a September workshop as well, and hope to pass it at the September workshop, because the fiscal year does end on September 30th. So that gives us at least tonight's meeting and then potentially 3 more meetings after tonight's meeting to work out the budget. And we still are waiting for a few final numbers. We have an update regarding insurance renewals. We did get a quote from Mopern, who's our current insurance carrier. That's kind of causing the budget squeeze right now. And it did go up, but just slightly from last year relatively. We do have a visit from a potential carrier, and they're gonna be on site later this week, and they're interested enough to spend some time and come on site. So that's good news. However, there's still a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of questions they're gonna have, and so if we can get a new insurance carrier this year, it's gonna be really good news. The budget's gonna look a lot better, hopefully. It still may be next year, right? But there's still hope there, and we've been working our butts off to get ready for that. Holzell Park, it's under construction again. They are making some progress. I know you probably noticed that they're grading where the additional parking is going to be, and they're replacing the fence. So that's moving along quite well. Again, as Yolanda, I think, mentioned in her report, we do have a citizen survey that's going to be going out, and probably in September is what we're looking at. And that's going to be part of the strategic plan. And so once we get those responses back, we can start talking about planning a retreat for the council to develop a 5-year strategic plan, which will help with a whole host of things for the city, and give us a lot more direction. And then finally, I know that Tabitha Locke, she was talking about stamped concrete with some of the municipalities east of us on Natural Bridge. We do have an engineer preparing a bid package to do stamped concrete in the medians along Natural Bridge here. And so we talked about it at a few previous meetings, but that process is moving along. It would keep greenery on the sidewalks, in between the sidewalks and the road, and we would still have our trees, of course. In addition to that, just based off of a few comments from citizens and council persons, a couple things I want to address. Regarding, Public Works, since, we had our sanitation department, we had, 8 or 9 employees, depending on what season it was. Right now, we have 2 employees in Dennis. That's what we're able to afford, and they do a really good job on keeping the city properties mowed. If you have a complaint, please email me or call me. I know on San Diego, there was a lot of poison ivy, and so we have to kill it, and then we can come back later and remove it, so it's a work in progress. But yeah, if you have a question about that, please just email me or call me, and be happy to give you the update on that. And regarding the website, it is a work in progress. If there's anything specific that you're not able to find on the website, I know our budgets are on there, I know our city calendar is up to date, right there on the front page. I know when you go into some of the departments, there's outdated information on certain parts, or there's a few broken links that we do need to clean up, but I do want to make sure that the main parts of the website are accessible and accurate. And so, our front page, the links to our code and to our minutes and the budget, and it's something that we're working with the police department on their part. So it is a work in progress, and that's all I have for my report.
Sam, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Is there a budget, any budget money that's specifically linked to the maintenance and the updating of the website? Because they're not, it costs money, you gotta have somebody who goes in and does that, and is there any money in the budget for a major overhaul?
No, there's not one in our current budget. We do pay to have Civic Plus do the website, and then I don't have the contract in front of me, but I wanna say it's every 4 years or every 3 years, they do a refresh. But again, and they did a refresh about 2 years ago, and I think the website aesthetically looks a lot better than it used to, but they don't update the content because they don't know our city like we know. And my opinion of our website is, frankly, we have too much content on the website. But it's just kind of information overload, and then the important stuff that people want is kind of buried in there.
And I'm asking about those kinds of things because, what I've done in my past life has been website maintenance, imaging, marketing, process reviews, and all that sort of stuff. So one of the things that I've noticed, because I've been trying to put together a template again for the newsletter, template for other things, is that we don't have a style sheet. One of the things that most places do, businesses do it, cities do it, universities do it, is you have some branding elements. What fonts will we use? Where will we use them? What colors are we going to be using? All of those kinds of stuff, so that there's some consistency as to how things look and feel. And I think that that's an area that we might want to work on, because I've already, I create a little thing, and I'm using the colors that are naturally used, the green, the black, the white, but other kinds of things to make sure that what we do and how we present ourselves as a city, including what we do with the planters along Natural Bridge, makes a difference in terms of how people feel about us, how they feel about their own neighborhoods, and how outsiders feel about our community.
Two things, please, Sam. What are we currently paying for insurance? What's the numbers right now?
Right now, and this changes a little bit when we sell vehicles, but I believe last year's quote was $535,000. That's what we're paying this year for liability and, just umbrella, sometimes it's called property and casualty insurance, right? So that's how, in 2 years ago, it was about $140,000,
Right.
so.
Another thing, our inventory, in Public Works, I know we had over $200,000 worth of equipment down there in my duration, I know that. Where, can you give me a report maybe by workshop, give the board a
We
report? of
can
what we
get you
have?
an inventory of what's down there. We are cash basis of accounting, so we don't have like depreciated assets as far as a dollar amount, if that's what you're looking for.
No,
But I can get you an inventory
I
of
wanna
what
know
we
what
have
we
down
have,
there.
because we had a water cannon, we had backhoes, we had $200,000 worth of equipment down there.
Yeah, I mean, it's still down there.
Okay, yeah, just wanna get a report, let us know, maybe in the workshop.
Well, yes, and, we'll
we
talk
need to
about,
get-
we'll talk about some of that with the capital improvement budget as well.
I just
So,
wanna
and
see,
that's
I
later
just
on in
wanna
this
see the
meeting.
inventory,
Yep.
we need to see what we have. We know what we did have, just wanna see what we still have, because we did auction off things, in the past, so just information that we need to have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Kevin?
Sam, as far as, you said employees, we have 3 employees, Dennis,
Yeah,
and 2 workers,
yes.
supervisor,
Yeah, one's the foreman,
One
and
is
then
the foreman,
one is
okay.
just a laborer.
okay, no, one is there, okay.
Reed?
Yeah, yeah, and, so, when I did speak about, San Diego with the Poison Ivy, that was addressed several months ago, before the summer, and now it's the end of the summer, so it's been plenty of time to address the Poison Ivy, if that's where we wanna take, if that's where we wanna go, so, I'm just saying in the future, if it's just something that we can maybe do at the beginning of spring, to look at it now, it's
Yeah,
like, okay.
and
we
to be
addressed it.
clear, I'm not saying the complaint's invalid.
Right,
I'm
okay.
just talking about the matter of addressing it.
Okay. Well, it was addressed at several meetings ago.
I
And so
understand.
I addressed it in open session.
And
That's how
and
serious it
that's
Right.
exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay,
Yep.
right, well, we wouldn't have to if it was done.
Excuse me, thank you. One last thing, are we gonna be prepared for our winter? Will we be able to have the salt truck and all this stuff prepared? Because last winter, we had, ice and people were calling because they couldn't get up the street. Are we gonna be prepared for this winter?
We just got an email about that.
Yeah, yes,
It's on
we're
so
gonna be
We have salt, it's down in Public Works, and.
Okay, the truck and
Yeah.
everything, and so
Yeah.
we're gonna probably need some manpower also, right?
Yes.
Okay, well,
Are you saying additional men?
I don't know, I just know we need to get the streets taken care of for the safety of the police officers, for the citizens, for all that.
I
don't
think
have to
we,
go through this.
we had one overnight ice event last year and.
It's terrible.
Two.
Well,
Well, we can't prepare for we can't say what the weather's gonna be. The only thing we can do is let Dennis look at the weather and pre-treat the streets. But as you know, even when you put salt down, it doesn't, what do you call it?
Get ice over.
It gets ice over if it gets too cold,
Can
but
I let
in
you
which
know,
case the ice becomes
Yeah.
ineffective. So we certainly can pre-treat and do those things and prepare. However, we can't predict how cold it's gonna be. If it's below, like 9, some.
yeah, but
It's
the
gonna be
point is,
effective anyway. So, yeah.
I didn't see too many complaints last year. I know we had a couple ice events. It was a fairly warm winter that we got lucky with, but yes, we're prepared for the snow and ice.
Can I speak to that? I think, I know that we were still, glad I echo that, but we had a contract with you that said you would take care of the snow on the streets, which we appreciated. As I recall, particularly with those ice events, they start as rain,
Yeah.
and then they freeze, in the middle of the night or early in the morning. And so the pre-treatment, if there is any, is gone. By the time it runs away. I mean, so it's gone. So those ice events are particularly hard to.
And a lot of those ice events, as being a teacher, you were advised, do not leave the house.
Right.
So you cannot predict for an ice event, no. For snow, certainly, yes.
Yeah, snow, we can,
but
we can
for ice,
pre-treat for snow.
we can't.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Chief of Police.
Perfect. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
The monthly report spans between Monday, July 1st and Thursday, August 1st, 2024. There were 1,576 calls for service, 143 police reports written, 14 accident reports generated, 309 citations written, and 76 business checks. With regards to events, I want to say the Parks Board did a fantastic job with Shakespeare in the Park. It was a really beautiful night, and it was nice to see so many Normandy residents and community partners come together for something besides complaints and crime. It was really, really nice for people to see that we can do something else here. It was very positive, and I think it spoke really well for us, and I've heard a lot from a lot of people on how much they enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, my staff enjoyed it. It was great. The next event that you guys are planning for, the Jazz Festival, I've been kind of loosely speaking with the Parks Board. We've got some outside suggestions about whether we're going to be able to partner our National Night Out with them on that evening and have our National Night Out just before the jazz event. And that would also raise or boost the attendance because we provide service for more than just the city of Normandy. We have several partner cities that we provide service for. National Night Out, for those who don't know, is an annual celebration between the police and the constituents where we go out and we take back the community and we pledge that we're going to stand together against crime, and it's a great event. I am personally going to be sponsoring the National Night Out this year as just a good effort to try to get it back online. So the police department will be providing some light food, beverages, water, sodas, hot dogs. Hot dogs are fairly inexpensive, and we're going to get the police officers out there on the ones and twos, and hopefully they can man the grill. So if we can get this organized, my plan is that we would have our National Night Out celebration just before the Jazz Festival, and we would do it on Pasadena Boulevard. We would shut down traffic so that way all the walking traffic can come in, and we would advertise this and we put this out to all of the communities that we provide service for, because we provide service for the great majority of the 24/1. National Night Out is about the community and the police, and it's our community is bigger than Normandy. The police community is bigger than Normandy. I'm the police chief for 6 cities, not just one. So I would like all my constituents to be there because crime in all those areas is important, and the reality is when crime affects our neighbors, it affects us. So having a police department that controls the crime, that borders you on all sides, is actually really good having one agency because it keeps you quite safe. The next thing I was going to talk about was we budgeted a little bit of money last year for Trunk or Treat to return this year. Of course, it's going to be scaled down from what it was last year. We'll have some parking lot diagrams and things going out, and we'll be soliciting volunteers to come out to the police department. Again, tentatively, we would like to have it here on property. We'd shut down the lot, and then area trunk or treaters would be able to come here, and our residents would volunteer. They would set up their trunks, and they would decorate their own cars. They're free to wear costumes. I wear a costume every year. I'm not sure what I'll do this year. But we've got some officers that do magic tricks, so we're going to have a magic booth set out there. We'll have some cotton candy, popcorn, light refreshments. And again, we're going to invite the lady from Chick-fil-A who came before because it didn't cost us anything. And she sold out over 300 Chick-fil-A meals in the first 15 minutes that she was here. So I think it'd be really nice for us to have that event, again, just to showcase that Normandy is bigger than just what the media perpetuates us to be, which is a North County area plagued with crime. That's not what Normandy is. Our crime rate is actually 57% lower than the national average here in the footprint of Normandy, and 47% lower than all the communities that surround us in the 24/1, which kind of leads me to my next point. I wanted to give everybody, if they have just a pen or paper, just to write this website down. And it's a good website. It's called Missouri State Highway Patrol Criminal Justice Information. It's called showmecrime.mo.gov. I think you can go there and you can look for the past 5 years of the crime in the city of Normandy, and since I've assumed the role as the police chief, like I said, the crime rate's down. We're batting 100% case clearance on all Part 1 crimes, including murders. There's no murderers running around loose. So Normandy looks really, really great on paper. Like I said, our case clearance rate is 69% higher than the national average. So nationally, police departments will solve this much crime, we'll solve 69% more. with the limited manpower that we have. So I encourage everyone to go onto that website. If you're curious about what it is that we do in the police department, where our officers are and how they're performing, you can go and look at the numbers yourself. The numbers don't lie. I think it's a great website. Our annual report will be coming out momentarily. I would like to talk about really quickly roadway hazards. I know Councilwoman Shivers asked about what happens. She asked MoDOT how quickly they remove road hazards. Normally, police department removes them immediately. If you see a road hazard on any county road or state highway that's in our jurisdiction, a lot of times people already do this. Call 911. The dispatcher says, in Normandy cars, there's a mattress on the highway. And then we go out there, and I myself pull car parts, mattresses, deer carcasses, all kinds of stuff. We will pull it off the roadway, we'll put it on the shoulder. We then ask dispatch to notify MoDOT it's there, and like she said, sometimes it can take a long time. But the good thing is, and our concern is, we're removing the road hazards from the roadway immediately to avoid motor vehicle accidents. So if anybody sees a road hazard, please call us immediately. Even if it's on a city street, call us. If it's something that's too big for us, like a downed tree, I mean, we work with all the departments of the city to remediate those issues immediately, and if it's on a state right-of-way, we at least get it off the roadway if they are responsible for the destruction or, getting rid of carcasses, mattresses, car parts, motors, engines, unit fencing, chairs, barbecue grills, you name it. We pull everything off the highways and the roadways around here. So I wanted to encourage everyone to call, and how long does it take for us to get it off immediately? Within a minute or two, we'll pull it off. Even if it's not in our venue, if it's close to our venue, they're gonna hit it, and then they're gonna come in our venue and ask us to take an accident report. So if it's on Lucas and Hunt, we'll still go get it. Jennings Station Road, we'll go get it. As far as Berkeley's venue, we butt up to Berkeley on Interstate 70 in unincorporated St. Louis County down by Hanley. So we go a good ways and we pull stuff off the highways. Speeding on Bermuda, check, got it. Dangerous animals, with regard to dangerous animals, we're not getting calls for dogs running at large necessarily. There's just reports that there's people that are living in that associated area with dangerous animals, and we don't have the right to go on anyone's private property. I do go up to houses, and Mayor Pro Tem Campbell's a witness. I will go up to the house and ask them to see their dog. If they tell me no, and pound sand, I pound my sand away, and I notify Rick, our code enforcement. I will notify Sam. Sometimes if they tell me, yeah, it's a pit bull, I'll write them a ticket right there on the spot because they're in violation. And if they bring the dog where I can see it and it looks like a pit bull, I'll write them because the burden of proof is on them to prove it's not of that breed. They have to come to court and prove to the judge that it's of a different breed, which usually they can't. They pay the fines. Whatever happens, happens. But with regard to dangerous animals, we don't have a big problem with them running around the community. They're in backyards, they're in houses, people possess them. Until we get calls and access to the property, we don't have knowledge. But I know that Rick has a list of problem properties. He's one person. So Rick is kind of working his way through the code enforcement issues, and dangerous animals that are not running around would be a code enforcement issue. If we catch them and running at large, like Councilman Jackson was saying, we have a problem with animal control picking up animals. St. Louis County Animal Control is gone now. They no longer house their own animals anymore. They house with the Humane Society, and the Humane Society has very limited space. So a lot of times if we pick up a dog and we bring it here to the station, the dog is in the cell, like the prisoner cell. And if it's a vicious animal or a dangerous animal, then the officers are having to deal with it and babysit it until such a time that the owner turns up and asks for it or they find space for it. And we just don't necessarily have the facility to house dogs. Like Councilman Jackson was saying, we've had this discussion before, and hopefully we can sit down and we can talk about a long-term and viable or sustainable strategy. Because leaving them in the police cars, then they chew up the police cars. So, I mean, our options are real limited on what we do with animals. But if we could come up with some other strategies, that would be great. Again, St. Louis County no longer houses animals. St. Anne has their own animal control. There's a couple of smaller cities that have their own animal control. We're looking for office staff, so I don't know that we're going to get an animal control division anytime soon. But maybe we could talk to some of these other cities and partner with them and see what we can do. The next I wanted to address was directed patrols. So a directed patrol means the officers of Normandy shall be visible on each and every street in the city limits of Normandy and every partner city that we provide service for at least once every 4 hours. So the officers have to hit every street in their sector, however big that sector is, once every 4 hours, which at a 12-hour shift means you would get 3 patrols during the day on every city street, 3 patrols on every city street during the evening hours, barring there's not something else that is pressing going on. If we have 4 people that are working and there is a homicide, I guarantee you all 4 people are going to be on that homicide. If that body is laying out there for 8 hours, that is 8 hours that the officers are out there with that body. If there's a fatal crash on the highway, an overturned vehicle, it takes numerous people to shut down Interstate 70. We've had numerous officers hit on the highway because people don't slow down just because there's a crash. Our officers are getting hit, we've had patrol vehicles totaled. It takes at least 4 people just to shut down Interstate 70 at Bermuda, because the curve is so dangerous. The first officer has to stop just after Lucas and Hunt, going westbound, and then going eastbound, the officer has to stop way down the straight portion in Cool Valley before Forest Road to start slowing people down, let alone if it's in the fast lane. So it's extremely dangerous. There's a lot of things that happen throughout the day, and while there are days where I know Mayor Pro Tem Campbell is now getting the nightly reports. Normandy Police Department sends out the nightly reports to all the mayors of all the cities so they can see what was going on in the city. Just because it says nothing to report does not mean the officers did not run a lot of calls. If there's EDP people, suicidal people, we don't dictate the time on the call, the citizens dictate the time on the call. And so if we're running 4 people, for every domestic that comes out, that's a 2-person call. There's 2 cars that are out of service, 2 cars are still patrolling everything. They now have to pick up the slack for all the other officers. When they're picking up the slack for the other officers, God forbid another priority 1 call comes out that requires 2 people. Now everyone's out of service. We still boast a 3-minute or less response time, as small as we are. Our responsiveness to priority 1 calls is 3 minutes or less, which means your shootings, your burglaries, your robberies, your tamperings in progress, your suspicious persons. Like all of the priority 1 things, we're still getting there in 3 minutes or less. But some of the housekeeping issues, like a derelict vehicle or a car parked on the grass, this is no different than a hospital where things are triaged and they're prioritized. I think the person who believes their home is being broken into is going to get a quicker response time than the person with the vehicle parked on the grass. However, I would like to encourage everyone, the council, the citizens, please call the non-emergency number. Please put it in the queue. It's like signing up for an urgent care or a hospital before you get there. Depending on what the need is, you can sign up, and then when it's your time, they'll let you know and you can respond then. Same difference. If you never call the police, it never goes in the queue. They could be running 1,000 priority 1 calls, but if you never call the police, you're not in line. So when the officers, if day shift was handling a priority 1 call, like a stabbing or a shooting or something horrible that's happened that we can't predict nor we can prevent, they may not get to your issue during day shift, the vehicle parked on the grass. But when night shift comes on, as soon as those officers get there, they have a big, huge TV in the squad room. They get the calls on the TV before they even come out over the radio. So if they're working on something, they can get up and leave before dispatch even sends the call to them. So they can see all the calls that are in the queue, and they will get to the call. But I promise you, if you don't call, they'll never get to it because they don't know. So I would encourage everyone, if there's an issue, a real-time issue, call the non-emergency number, contact dispatch. I would rather know about it as it's happening or more immediately than to wait 30 days and to come into the council meeting and talk about it here. The problem is long gone, or if it still persists, now we have frustrated residents, frustrated elected body who think that nothing's being done, and we have open lines of communication. Just call and say something. But I think it's kind of behind the curve for us to hold on to a problem for 30 days and then just use this as an outlet to pour them out. I would like to be able to make you look good, because people will say, I went to my elected official and they had this issue and it got taken care of in that day or the very next day. Or I contacted the police chief and it got handled right away. I think we all look really good if we do that. I just don't think it's successful for us to come to the meetings and kind of bleed on the problems if we've known about them and then we didn't say something about them sooner. I will be addressing some of these things in my conversations with the chief. I want to publicly apologize to everyone who had it earmarked on their calendar to be there for it. I was unaware that I had double booked this space on the day of the budget meeting, and you guys hear about the state of the budget. It absolutely takes priority. However, I intend to reschedule it, and I will make sure that there's plenty of information out in the community. And then the last thing I wanted to hit on was the website. Councilwoman Baye, if you are a website designer and you would like to, she's not even looking at me, she's looking at me. If you would like to help us, I think that'd be a great idea, because I am being tracked down by the League of Women Voters of St. Louis, who are super angry about our website being out of date. And like I explained to them, we have a very small team here. Like in the city hall, our staffing in the city hall administrative side is not even half of what it was historically. So now we have 10 times as many jobs with less than 50% of the people and more than 100% demand than we've ever had. And I'm no website design specialist by any means. So whenever I see something that's wrong, I go and stop Sam from probably answering your questions or doing what he needs to do to say, hey, can you take Mark Hall's picture off of the website? They keep emailing Mark Hall, they're calling me Chief Hall. So like he stops everything he does to go in and change that one thing, but then a day later someone calls and there's another issue. None of us are IT specialists and none of us have degrees in website design, but I think that it kind of speaks to what's going on here. And it's kind of endemic of a bigger problem, that we have a very small group of people doing a lot of work and working very, very hard for the citizens of Normandy. And are we going to be able to turn every stone every day? No, we are not. But if you contact us and you tell us what's going on, I promise you, the best description I can give you is it's in the queue. We are working on it. But we're tiny, but don't underestimate us, we're mighty. That concludes my report.
Chief, I just wanna say real quick, I think people that don't come to this meeting, they don't know who to contact. Like, y'all wanna do a survey, but you need to do basic city stuff. We used to have a thing that would come out and tell people, new contact number, MoDOT contact. We haven't had that in years, so I think you're not getting that pipeline because the citizens who aren't active and come like us, they don't know. So when they come, yeah, they hot as fish grease.
Well, that was more.
So we need to communicate.
Wait.
Sorry, that was more for the
I got
elected
it.
body.
Oh, no,
They felt
I'm
like
sorry.
a complaint.
Can you
When-
talk to her about that? Actually?
Sure,
Yeah.
when the
Sorry.
citizens make complaints, I take lists and I will just address them. But that's kind of for the people that feel like, you know, you guys are getting beat up, just let me know right
Can we
now.
go down the line?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So I know you keep saying call 911 or the non-emergent number, but if it's a sensitive situation, like we have a guy, I think he might be mentally, something's going on with him. The way he dresses, the way he acts. I don't know, you know, people ask me all the time, what do we do with that? Do we call 911? Do we call a non-emergent? I just think sometimes, like I even call Sam and say, look, we would like to call the police, but I don't want him to get hurt.
Oh, call 911 for everything. The same officers are gonna respond to the non-emergency call as the 911 call. What they're going to be relying on is the call notes. So if the person is non-violent, I mean, all the officers here are CID trained, so we're not gonna go up to any person and treat them poorly because I wouldn't allow that. But if there's a person that's mentally ill and you believe that they're like speaking to themselves, put that in the call notes. So when the officers are responding, they have a good indication by reading the call notes. Subject is, you know, wearing dirty clothes, is talking to himself, is wandering around, appears lost. All those things matter.
Okay.
And call 911 for everything. Just get rid of the non-emergency number. Just everybody call 911. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, as of the 12th or even today, the 13th, how many, police officers do we have?
21, including myself.
21, okay.
Same as last month. We've got some people in the queue that we're hoping to hire that are in the police academy, but they don't graduate until November. And then we're running an open hiring process right now where we have 4 possible candidates in that process. But I think one of them I'm going to remove today, so we will have 3.
You have one that you're gonna do what with it?
The person will be removed today, so the 4-person process that's going on right now will now be down to 3.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. Public Works.
I have nothing to add to the written report, but I'll take any questions anybody has from what I submitted.
Any questions? Thank you for Public Works for cutting grass in our ward. They've been doing a good job.
We saw you out there one day on Bermuda Road, as we were driving around. Yeah, I think that the questions that I might have for you are not for the public, so I'll talk to you later. It's just about some, you know, what happened at a certain house or something like that.
Thank you. Oh, Sam, City Treasurer.
Yeah, Mr. Ellis was not able to attend tonight. He had an obligation with his employer, the St. Louis Public School District. So he did submit a written report. I will briefly summarize the financial statements. I know we're running long for reports, so I'll be brief. But for the month of June, the city reported a net income of $86,000. So that's a year-to-date overall for the general fund, a loss of $262,000. Again, so we started up way high with our insurance premiums at the beginning of the year, and we've slowly been working our way back down to 0. And we'll talk about that in the budget in a moment. But $86,000 surplus. Right now, our unrestricted cash balance for general fund is $756,000. With the current budget unamended, we'll talk about that next. Our income overall in the general fund, we have 30.7% of our budget remaining. Just to be monthly on track, that would be 25%. Again, not all of our incomes work that way, but we are coming in under budget on the revenues. And then for expenditures overall, we are at 25.1%, so we're right on with the current budget. The administration department is over budget. The police department is slightly under budget. Court is slightly under budget. Streets is under budget. And then parks is over budget. Just a quick look at the non-major funds. No major expenditures in the non-major funds. In the economic development fund, we have spent some money, and we are going to spend some money on Natural Bridge, fixing up some of the maintenance items on there. So, but nothing too active for the month of June. But you can see the income for each fund, the expenditures, as well as the cash balance, and then the budget as well. So that concludes the financial report.
Thank you. Excuse me, Mr. Johnson, can you, answer a question as far as in that budget for economical, expenses? Does that include any type of, flowers or grass or anything? When you come into the Normandy municipality and you look and see what our city looks like, does that go into that budget?
We do have one ongoing, so the economic development sales tax fund is restricted by state statute on what we can spend it on. So we do have to be careful. One ongoing project, and we talked about it earlier, Tabitha talked about it earlier, is the Great Streets project on Natural Bridge. And because it is it's a commercial corridor, it's been identified as an economic development project, and so we do spend economic development sales tax funds for beautification of that corridor. But beyond that, we could potentially identify as an economic development project to do it in other parts of the city, but that's not what we've done, and we would have to run that by the attorney, make sure that we're not misusing the funds set aside for.
Our attorney.
Yeah. Well, and I should also say, we would need to run it by Economic Development Sales Tax Board. So, but it's something we can talk about.
Okay.
Is that Prop P money and TIF money? Where is that? Where are we at with that?
Okay, Prop P money does go into the general fund. So that's reported in sales taxes, and we can talk about that in the budget later.
Yeah.
But
TIF?
And the TIF has been dissolved, so again, this is in the financial report. You'll see that the TIF balance is at 84 cents right now because we dissolved it. About 900,000 of that money actually went back to the city through Parks and Stormwater and Economic Development, and a little bit to the capital improvement.
So we won't get any of that money back?
No, I just told you we got about $900,000 of it back.
Okay,
About $300,000 went back to the school district, to the fire district.
Will that go into general fund or just stay in the TIF?
So a very, very small amount went into general fund. Most of it went into the economic development sales tax, about $490,000. And then Parks and Stormwater, about $490,000. And then about $40,000 went into the capital
So
improvement
we'll
fund.
get line items of that in the budget?
It is in the budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see the line items. Okay, thank you.
Can I ask a question, please? It has to do with the Economic Development Fund and the Great Streets Project maintenance. I understand that a plan was submitted to the council. I was not on the council at the time that happened. Ms. Shivers wasn't either at that point. I think before we start paving paradise and putting up a parking lot, we need to look at what it will cost to maintain it in the way that it was designed. That is with plantings that are sustainable in those planters. We look at the original plans, you've got all the water plans in there, and to make a determination as a board whether we go forward with a concrete project on a cost basis. How much is it gonna cost to do that versus how much is it gonna cost to have perhaps volunteers help us to maintain those beds and to buy the appropriate plants. I think that it's really, really important that we look at that. So I'm gonna ask at you know, we do it at the workshop, that we do a compare and contrast what it costs to do the concrete work versus maintaining the plantings.
I agree with that.
I need a adopt.
Yeah.
I need a motion to adopt. I'll make a motion to adopt. Anybody
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Old business, Council Bill number 24-14, an ordinance of the City of Normandy amending the fiscal year ending in September 30th, 2024 budget. So this is, we had our first reading last workshop?
Last regular meeting.
Last regular meeting. So, this is just, once again, to remind everybody that our court projections didn't come across as we thought. And then, we had some also lawyers' fees and property taxes and things like that. So I'll hand it over to Sam. This will be our second reading for that.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and again, we talked about this a little bit, so I'll just kind of go over the bullet points really quick. Budgeted revenues, we're revising those down in this budget by a total of about $300,000. Most of that is for, some of that is grant money. Actually, a good about $100,000 of that is grant money that we didn't receive and so we didn't spend. But the rest of that is coming under projected revenue for courts as well as a little bit in the sales tax. We've had an issue this year with people not paying their property taxes. It's about 3 times as much as it was last year in our city. And so that's having a small impact on the budget as well. So in order to adjust for this budget amendment takes away some budgeted funds in some departments to mitigate the potential deficit from the revenues coming in lower. With one exception, as Yolanda mentioned, in the administration department or the city hall, kind of citywide, the legal fees, we are increasing $41,000, and that has to do mostly with litigation, with Simmons Bank, as well as just some other, clearing quiet title on some vacant properties we have and some other matters like that. So the administration budget is going up slightly, because just realistically, that's where we're gonna be at September 30th, paying bills that we have to pay. However, we did make some cuts to mitigate that, including not filling a part-time position in salaries, and as well as some other cuts that you can see on page 3. For the police, courts and public works, we're making significant cuts, so, and some of this has to do, like in the police department, it mostly has to do with unfilled positions, as well as cutting back in some other places. So it's about, and some of it also has to do with the grants that I spoke about earlier. So cutting back in the different departments, again, overall, we're looking at a projected deficit with this budget of $150,000 for this year. But it is important that we do the budget amendment. That way departments can plan accordingly and know where to stop in September. Are there any questions about I'll just say real quickly, I do have an update on some of the non-major funds. We are revising up the budgeted revenue for capital improvement, sales tax, because of the sales tax change that the council made earlier this year. So we're revising up revenues by $40,000. In the economic development fund, we do have some budget changes, increase of about $40,000, and that's we're fixing some lighting on Natural Bridge, as well as preparing for that bid that we were talking about. And then, other than that, it's mostly minor changes. So, I'll take any questions about the budget amendment at this point.
Any questions?
Yes, so Sam, you mentioned something about the personal property tax, that people weren't paying their personal property tax?
Real estate, mostly.
Real estate, okay.
Yeah. We had a few businesses that didn't pay, and looking at last year, just the dollar amount, and we also had a few, like, just residents, I don't know if the increase is part of the problem or not, but for the increased rate in property tax, it's not coming to the city, I'll tell you that much. I mean, the assessments went up significantly last year, but our actual property real estate revenues went down from last year, and that has to do with those delinquent taxes. And so, and I compared, this is all open record, St. Louis County compared it to the previous year to this year, it almost tripled. So, now in terms of the budget, we're only talking about $10,000. Our property tax levy is really not that high, but.
Anyone else? Make a motion to adopt Council Bill number 24-15. Can I get a second?
And that's the next 2 months left in the fiscal year.
It's,
Next month.
Next month,
Yeah, September.
end of the fiscal year.
Yeah, 30th of September.
Did I get a second?
Yes.
Do I need a roll call?
You need to read by title.
Oh,
If you,
the entire thing?
Just the title.
yeah.
Council Bill, I make a motion to approve Council Bill, adopt Council Bill number 24 dash.
Sorry, we need a motion for this is for the second reading, so we'll need a motion for the second
Yeah.
reading.
I got that.
Okay.
Yeah, you just need to.
So now as the chair, just read the title of the
Okay,
bill.
just read, okay.
Council Bill number 24-15, an ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, appending the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024 budget.
Now,
Now I can,
correct, now would be proper to move for adoption of the,
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Paul,
Hold on.
no,
Now we need a motion and a second to adopt.
to adopt.
So,
What did I just do?
You just did the first, the second reading.
we don't need a vote for that because we already had the first reading.
So we had the first reading.
You just made a motion for
I
the
just
second
made
reading.
a motion for the second reading. He seconded,
Yeah, so you're good.
and then,
And then
Now
you
we need a motion
read.
to
now I
adopt.
read it.
and then there's a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Okay, motion to adopt, okay.
So
Correct.
moved.
All in favor?
We need a
Motion
second.
to, I need a second to adopt. I need a second to adopt.
And
Second.
then it's a roll call vote.
This one is a roll call?
Correct.
Because it's not a resolution.
Correct.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Councilman Sachsenheimer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cleveland, Councilman Jackson,
No,
Councilman Evan,
Adopt, yes.
Councilwoman Shivers,
Yes.
Councilman Nelson,
No,
Councilwoman Campbell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Valier.
Yes.
Ordinance number 818.
New business. Council Bill number 24-16, an ordinance of the City of Normandy adopting the fiscal year ending in September 30th, 2025, adopting operating and capital budget. Let's see. So this is the draft. You go to And this, we actually started, we didn't get a chance to talk about this at the last workshop because we didn't have, well, we kind of talked about it earlier, but everybody wasn't here. And everything, when we started the budget. So this starts at page, it starts at page, after the judicial education fund. And then you'll see draft all across it. So,
What page number?
it's not a page number, you just have to go to the end of that budget. And then it's gonna say draft across it. It's after this. Is it a page?
Is this what we're talking about? 2416?
Yeah.
2416.
Do you see it? What, does it have a page number? It's on your left hand side.
September 30, 2025.
Let me see the
Operating
page
capital
number.
budget.
When I look through it.
I believe the capital improvement plan
Oh,
is
it's right here.
numbered.
I see it. It's
Yeah.
right.
Okay,
Question about the, so 2416 is adopting the 2025 budget,
This is the new fiscal.
the new
year.
fiscal year budget, which we really haven't
Well, we
discussed.
talked about the general fund last time.
Right.
But, we didn't talk, the department heads didn't have their, parts, and then some of the council members weren't here. So it's kind of like
Here.
Chair, I think we need to table this.
so it wasn't really discussed, so what we wanted, I'm still talking.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm still talking. So what we wanted to do is, devote the workshop of the 22nd just to the budget, because we had so many people that weren't here, because we went over the general fund
Yeah,
stuff,
right.
but then other people, they
Yeah, we
weren't
needed
here.
to.
Yeah, so we wanna devote the next 3 meetings to it. Does that make
Okay,
sense?
so we're not gonna be passing this.
No, this is just the
okay.
first read to get the
Got
tax
it.
vote, so this is not passed.
Right. Table this.
all right.
Oh, now it's,
Okay, so there's 2 parts to the budget, there's the operating budget and then there's the capital budget. And as we kind of just talked about, we did talk about it at the workshop last month. And, that we had a few council members that were not there, so I'll just hit some points regarding the operating budget and some of the capital budget. But again, we'll save a lot of the main discussion and back and forth and brainstorming for the workshop. But this is for those who weren't there and as well as the residents. So for fiscal year 2025, what we're seeing is as far as revenues regarding the general fund, regarding revenues, we're expecting to have a lot less revenue, about $40,000 less revenue than we did last year. So with inflation, that's obviously a problem. So, and that has to mostly do with not having some one-time cost, like we had a very large building permit fee come in fiscal year 2024 for USDA. We had a few grants as well, right? So we are seeing revenues stagnating and actually declining a little bit. And then also on the expenditure side, we're still dealing with the insurance bill. And that's not a settled matter yet. Obviously, we're still waiting a quote from another carrier. But the budget presented tonight is with the MOPERM quote, which is about $550,000. So, in order to prepare for that, we are proposing to cut in just about every single department. Again, the budget request this year for administration department is about $70,000 less than the projected 2024 revenue. Same thing with public safety, about $60,000 less than projected revenue. And this is despite the insurance costs going up significantly. So this budget is extremely bare bones is the point. There's very minimal staffing in here. The level of service, you try not to compromise the level of service to a point where things just don't outright work, but being very conscious with the funds that we do have. And again, with this presented budget, there's a $146,000 deficit. Now, in fiscal year 2023, we had a $442,000 surplus. So we are seeing some volatility from year to year. But this budget projects a deficit, and we've cut down to basically the bare bones, right? And I talked about that earlier. We only have a couple of public works employees. We don't have a receptionist. Our officers aren't fully staffed. We're having trouble keeping a fully staffed police department because of the market, the labor market for the PD. Now, if Travelers, comes and gives us a quote and we get lower insurance, then we're talking about a balanced budget, depending on what that quote is. We may even have some more money that we can go back and put into some departments. But we won't know that for a few more weeks, if that's gonna happen or not. Now, regarding moving on to the non-major funds operating budget, and as well as the capital improvement plan, 5-year capital improvement plans, things are not as dire as they are in the general fund. Again, we had a change in our capital improvement sales tax that took us from about $80,000 a year to $360,000 a year. Sorry, $336,000 a year is the projected amount for capital improvement. And so we have some funds to play with there, and we need to make a plan for it. So if you go to the part that Councilwoman Campbell was talking about earlier, where you see the big draft watermark on, that part is the capital improvement plan budget. So just kind of a brief description of how the capital improvement plan budget works. You have your cover page here that says City of Normandy, Missouri 5-year capital improvement plan. And you'll see that we have about 20 different projects here, ranging from equipment repairs, like repairing the water truck or the water trailer, to the City Hall message board, to the Parkchester Park grant project that we've been talking about, to repaving the parking lot, to repaving subdivisions, and this is as well as just purchasing and making sure our fleets in the police department, as well as the few trucks that we have down at Public Works, are replaced as they reach their end of life over the next 5 years between now and 2029. So everything you see in the 2025 column ties into the operating budget. And then on the second part of the capital improvement plan, you have your projected revenues, expenditures, and fund balances, which basically plans out what the fund balances are going to be over the next 5 years. That way we don't make a plan that's going to bankrupt the capital improvement fund in 5 years. Making sure that we plan it out so that the fund balance will go up and down, but it won't go below zero. And then the rest of the capital improvement plan is our pages for each independent budget request. So again, I know that's a lot, and there's a lot in here. I would like to save a lot of the discussion for the workshop. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them. I do think it is important that we get a first reading in tonight for the bill. That way we can have the second reading and pass it whenever the council pleases with ease. So unless there's any questions, that's what I have for that council bill.
Let me say something about, you said the grant, did we address the grant that we were talking about as far as the Parkchester Park grant?
Yeah, so it should be actually in the capital improvement plan, and so for fiscal year 2025, I believe we had budgeted, sorry, let me get off here. We have budgeted $24,500 in expenditures to create a master plan for Parkchester Park. 10,000 of that is covered by a grant. So we're getting, so we're spending 24,000 and we're receiving $10,000 in reimbursement. And that's out of the Parks and Stormwater Fund.
Right.
No, go ahead.
So we're paying $2,400 to get
24,000.
24,000. We spending $24,000
Yeah.
for,
So it would establish a master plan, and so that's gonna give us estimated, it's gonna give us all the cost estimates we need to budget out the project. And it's also gonna be a really important document for getting potentially 600,000 to maybe even $1 million in grants from different funds. So, because when you make a grant application to the Municipal Park Grant Commission or Missouri Department of Conservation, which are the grants we're targeting, they're going to need to see that master plan in order to get the grant approved.
okay, so if we don't get approved, just hypothetically, I'm going both ways on this. So if we don't get approved, then we are at 24,000.
So we already got the planning grant. That was.
The 10,000.
Yeah. So,
Okay, the 10,000, but I'm saying from that 10,000, there's no guarantee that we're gonna get 600,000, 800,000, $1 million for that park.
I mean, there's no guarantee, but I'll tell you, at least 350,000 from the Municipal Park Grant Commission is a sure thing.
Okay, so.
It's pretty confident about it.
Okay, so what I'm going at, okay, so what are we gonna do with this park? We're gonna open this park up, we can barely keep up with Hosel Park, we're trying to throw money at Parkchester Park. How are we gonna upkeep Parkchester Park when really nobody uses it, most people don't even know where it's at?
Well, you can't even use it right now.
But we understand, so it's a reason why we weren't using it, because people wasn't using it, that's why it's overgrown now. It wasn't being taken care of. And we barely taking care of Hosel Park, so how are we gonna throw this money to Parkchester Park and try to help take care of that?
Well, I think you're asking.
What I would
recommend.
No, I'm asking, why are we putting money into a park that is not being utilized? That's what I'm asking.
Hold on, what I would recommend is please come to the master plan meetings that we're gonna be having. And, I mean, share that, and we should, just like some decisions that we've made over the past 20 years, we need to make, what we put in the park needs to be low maintenance, right? To keep down on maintenance costs, and we need to keep that in mind in the planning process, so that we don't plan a giant park that costs, $100,000 a year to maintain.
Excuse me, Sam, I think we need to postpone this so we can get this straight, because it's kind of confusing. We don't even have we don't have maintenance and public works.
Wait a minute, hold on, wait. We don't even have the plan for the park yet.
That's why I'm saying.
You're asking about something that is projected in the future, so
Madam
that doesn't make
Pro Tem,
any.
I'm
But
speaking.
you're asking about a fictitious thing that doesn't
I
exist.
know, that's why we need to yield the floor and let me ask this, we need to
No,
postpone
I'm not,
this.
because you're talking about something that doesn't exist.
We'll
We don't
postpone
have,
it, so we can go on
we
vote.
can't postpone it, it doesn't exist. That's like asking me to capture a leprechaun.
So why are you trying to vote on this?
We're not trying to vote on this,
What are
we're
you doing?
voting on the budget. We're
We're
voting
not
on the
voting, we're
first
having a
reading of the
first reading.
budget, not the park.
We need to postpone it, so we
Postpone
can,
what?
and go to a workshop,
Postpone what?
what you're talking about.
Postpone what?
Don't come with this postpone what?
Tell me the thing you want to
I
postpone.
think I'm talking to Sam.
Okay, I'm the chair, so you're supposed to.
I'm
What
talking
would
to
you
Sam.
like to postpone?
I just said postpone it.
What is the it in the sentence?
What he's talking about.
What is the it in the sentence?
Right. Right, let's just vote on that.
We're talking
We'll
about the
discuss
budget.
that later.
Well, we weren't at the workshop, so I don't understand.
Well, you weren't at the workshop, but we all were. So that
I
doesn't
don't
have
think we all
anything to do
were
with
there.
us. We were here.
Rick is not up and
Yeah,
down
we're
vote
voting.
on that.
We're
It's not-
voting on the
it's not
budget.
up and down vote on
Do
it.
whatever
Yeah,
you
we're
want to
voting
do.
on the
We're
budget.
voting on the
Just the
budget. We
budget.
were here. That it is not my concern where you were, we were here. So we are voting on this budget right now. I'm not asking you where you were. He is talking about a plan that does not exist yet.
Exactly.
So what we are here to vote on with this bill, if you look at it, new business, the first one, is the first reading of this projected budget. That's it. not the park or anything like that. We're just talking about this budget, these numbers.
Well, why are you mentioning the park?
Can I get a, can I get a mo,
Rick, it's okay. We'll talk about it.
can I get a motion?
Yeah, do whatever you
Adopt
want to do.
council
Hold,
bill.
hold on, we don't need a motion, we just need a motion and a second to have a first reading, that does not even require a vote, so.
I make a motion to.
It's just the first reading.
Okay, it's the first reading. I make a motion to, to adopt motion, wait.
No.
Looking for a first reading.
Motion for a first reading of Council Bill number 24-16. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Do I need a roll call vote?
No.
No, it's
All in
first
favor?
reading.
But you do need to read it by title.
Oh, I'm sorry. Council Bill number 24-16, an ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, adopting the fiscal year ending in September 30th, 2025, adopting operating and capital budget.
Is there time, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Goodness gracious.
Is it necessary that Sam, you mentioned that we need to do the first read now, even though we're gonna have this in workshop and have more meetings to discuss this, is that right?
It's not necessary, I mean, we just had the first reading, so it's done. But, it's not necessary, but sometimes with budgets, we have a provision in our code that you have to have 2 readings at the same meeting. You have to have unanimous consent, and so, sometimes that can be a barrier, and I don't wanna come up on September 30th, and if we don't have a full quorum or something, run into that issue.
And just to be clear, the risk of not having the budget adopted by October 1st is that if that doesn't occur, then the city is stuck with budget of the 2024 fiscal year budget for 2025, right?
We don't wanna go into a new year without the budget being passed.
Exactly.
And we
So
got
all
time.
we're
And we
doing-
have time, right, but that's the importance of
Right.
having the first reading tonight so that the second reading can occur at the September meeting after there's been a discussion at the August workshop. That's
So
the order
we
of,
have had the first reading.
Correct.
Right? We don't have to vote on anything else. Got it.
Number 2. Council Bill number 24-17, ordinance of the City of Normandy amending chapter 215 of the City of Normandy Code of Operations regarding noise ordinances. On your, you should have, that's number 2. Okay.
This is the current one, and this is the one I think they really like.
Thanks for your understanding.
You should have the old noise ordinance that,
You didn't get-
this is very bare bones in our, this was our original one, and then in the packet, it goes into more detail about time constraints and I believe this one only addressed, it didn't even address music, right?
It only addresses
It only
music.
addressed music. So the one that we have in, Council Bill number 24-17 is more detailed, and I don't know what page
if I may.
it's after the draft, on page 27 to 27, you see it.
Pro Tem Campbell, can I just kind of elaborate on this a little bit for the council that might help? So, one thing that Sam and I were discussing, again, as you mentioned, is that 215-770 as it's drafted really only addresses music, right? But with construction comes a lot of noise, with power tools comes a lot of noise, and you don't want that at, presumably, the neighborhood doesn't want that at 5 o'clock in the morning or 11 p.m. at night. And so this ordinance is designed to put some more restrictions on just a broader array of noises, noise sources, and what times of day and how close to certain other uses that those noises can be made. So again, this is a first reading, so there can be discussion of this in more detail at the workshop before future consideration for adoption.
So some things to note, if you look at BG, it talks about, you know, musical instruments, whistles, sound amplifier, it talks about different types of noises, and the other thing that wasn't addressed in our ordinance is time restraints, so G and I talk about time restraints and everything, we didn't have that in ours, and everything, so this will give people time to like, to look and see, if there's anything that they want to have changed or added, or to look at other ordinances to see, what you think in comparison to this one.
So we're looking at, what, 8 AM to 9 PM on the weekend?
I believe it's like
Cause
a
I
seven,
can swear
a
that
seven.
everybody's cutting their grass by 7 o'clock on Saturday.
I thought it was seven, right?
Well,
Yeah,
for
that's it.
H and number in subsection H, lawnmower, lawn care equipment, et cetera, 7 AM. I mean, all of this is, you know, if there are any
We can change it.
revisions, like that's.
But that's 7 AM on weekdays.
Yeah,
I mean,
8 AM on the
weekends.
weekends.
8 AM on the
Yeah, 8 AM
weekends,
to
and if
9
that's,
PM.
well, again, if the council wants to change that, then,
We need to go back and revisit.
we can have, yeah, I would recommend, you know, take some time reading
Yeah,
this
This
and
is the
then
first reading. so
Yeah.
then it was-
come with your suggestions to the workshop and we'll make
Cause
revisions.
I'm always up early Saturday morning with chops off, nails.
We can make sure this bill accommodates you, Councilman.
Yeah, really, I do a lot of garage work. So can we're gonna revisit this, or we're
Well,
gonna?
we're,
first reading?
this is the first reading, so we can bring it up we don't have to do it at the next workshop, but we could do it at the next
Okay.
September. Because the next workshop, we definitely wanted to vote just to the budget.
I would like to,
Yeah.
you know.
And we need to, I think people need time to research and,
Yeah.
I think I said that, didn't I say that?
I don't know what you're referring to, but people need time to research and everything, the noise ordinances and everything. And if you want to look at other ones, then that would be good. So,
All right, let's move on.
all right.
Yeah.
Number, am I number three? Number three.
Are you not intending to get a first reading this?
Oh, so, I'm sorry. Can I get I make a motion for Council Bill number 24-17. Can I get a second?
Second.
An ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, amending chapter 215 of the City of Normandy Code of Ordinances regarding noise offenses. Number three, a resolution of the City of Normandy appointing a broker to 7733 Natural Bridge. Andy, did you have? does this need to-
I would recommend the council postpone this. We still have not heard from Council Persimmons Bank regarding their choice of a replacement broker. I would recommend postponing this to the September meeting. So you will need a motion and a second and a vote to postpone resolution 2429 to the September 24 council meeting.
I make a motion, wait. I make a motion to postpone resolution number 24-29, a resolution of the City of Normandy appointing broker for 7733 Natural Bridge Road to the September
2024 council meeting.
2024 council meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Ayes have it. Resolution number 24-38, a resolution of the City of Normandy authorizing the city administrator to enter into a cost-sharing agreement with the Missouri Department of Conservation for removal of invasive species. This is the contract bid and it's the green and white part. So this is to remove all that, the invasive plants in Hoselle Park. And basically, we have to pay 10%. The bid was lowered, which was great for us. We only have to pay $2,200 because of the break that, was, filed to have that removed. Any questions about this particular? When is this supposed to start?
So the scheduling, we're still working on that, to pin it down exactly. Right now, we're trying to determine if the construction is gonna hinder them And if it is, then we'll do it in October. If not, then we'll get started in about within the month.
So trying to see if they're gonna be in each other's way.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Make a motion to adopt resolution number 24-38.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Alright,
Any opposed?
so this is 19,000?
So this agreement is the money we're gonna receive. So, yeah, we will receive $19,762. The project, and then we'll add in another $2,200 from the Parks and Stormwater
Oh,
Fund.
gotcha. That answers your question, Steve.
It's about $22,000 for the,
Entire project?
yeah.
Okay.
Number 5, resolution number 24-39, a resolution of the City of Normandy establishing employee contributions for group health insurance for the fiscal year 2025. This resolution,
Ma'am.
is our personnel policy, our healthcare premiums, and so Sam is gonna address this one.
Yeah, so this ties in with the budget, and we, I was talking with President Pro Tem Campbell, if we want to postpone this to the budget meeting to see how things go, I think that's fine. But our UHC, which is group health insurance for all of our full-time employees, it went up 10% this year. It's a Affordable Care Act plan, so it's pretty standard market rate type stuff, and it went up 10% pretty much for everybody from what I've heard. So our plan is increasing by 10%. So our personnel policy allows the city to change what the city covers, because the city covers a large portion, and then our employees pay a flat per pay period rate for their health insurance. And it's actually quite competitive compared to some other places, especially when it comes to dependents. We cover, it doesn't matter how many dependents you have or how old they are, we will cover them at a flat rate. So what this recommends is to increase the per pay period contributions by 10%. So that would be in this table that you see here. So that would, ours went up 10%, theirs is gonna go up 10% if you pass this, right? The other section of this ordinance would institute a policy called the spousal surcharge. And that would mean basically if the employee has a spouse on our plan and their spouse has coverage through their employer, then we're gonna charge them extra to have their spouse on our employer. And so basically that's to incentivize them to get their spouse to change to their own plan. Depending, now this only affects a handful of employees who currently have spouses on their plans. I'm actually one of them in this case, but depending on what people do, if they decide to take the surcharge, if their spouses switch or not, we could save anywhere between $20,000 to even up to $60,000 just through the spousal surcharge. And theoretically, depending on what the spouse's health insurance is, the employee doesn't really lose that much value because their spouse is still covered through their employer. Again, it will affect everyone a little differently. And if the spouse does not work or their job does not give them health insurance, then they would be exempted from this and they would pay the flat rate. The surcharge amount would be if their spouse does work and they're just going on our plans anyways, then they would have to cover 50% of that spouse on top of the rate in section 1. So.
Except for children, there's a limit for the age though, right? So
26.
26.
Yeah. So again, this would still, in my opinion, it would still keep our health insurance package very, very nice and very affordable. And because, I mean, some employers, they don't cover dependents, or they make everyone pay 50% of dependent costs. Or they have a high deductible plan. We don't have any of those things. And With people with families, this can be a very attractive place to work. The spousal surcharge kind of chips into that, but I think it does it in a way that limits impacts and can really still save the city a lot of money. And again, the budget projected or the budget that I presented earlier with the deficit has a spousal surcharge assumption in it. So if we don't do that, then I need to go back to the budget and the deficit's gonna be even larger.
So, this resolution, I would like to push to the workshop, so, because we're talking about the budget and the health insurance all in one block, and just focus our sights just completely on these two things. So, can I get a motion to postpone, I make a motion to postpone.
I'll second. You got it.
Resolution
Yeah.
number two.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the last item on the agenda, approval of 2 applications for residential curbside disabled parking. So there are 2 applications in your, at the 2 last pages. And one is for curbside parking with Illinois tags. And,
Illinois tag.
yeah, and the other one is for someone who already has a placard. I discussed this this is what I would like to do. I would like to put a hold on this because I don't think we don't have an ordinance that basically gives us an outline as to how people can apply for, handicap parking. And what we don't wanna do is you just come up with a piece of paper and you just get it in front of your house and we're paying for it. So what I would like to do is just put a moratorium on basically these applications for right now, where Sam would take them off the website. And then this council would come up with, if we wanna do it at all, we don't have to do it. We don't have to provide handicap parking, so we can provide it with stipulations. We can say we don't do that. Everyone in Normandy has a driveway. If you can get out of your car and come to the window, you can probably get out of your car and go
Excuse
sit.
me.
So
We
need
can
to
address it, we
Yeah.
can talk about it.
So
See
we
the
can talk
pros
about
and
it in the
cons.
workshop, yeah.
Can I ask
That's good.
one question? Glen Echo had such an ordinance. I was approved by the Glen Echo board to have a handicap spot in front of my house. I personally bought a sign and had the person who works for the city put it up. The sign is gone. And it's not a big deal, but, somebody took my sign. Right after we merged with Normandy. I do believe this is a good idea to have this. Everybody in the state of Missouri has to do this. So, yeah, we'll bring it up in the meeting, but if you wanna know what happened to my son.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yeah.
I think we do have an ordinance because I've seen Rodney put up signs, handicap signs in the streets before because someone I think they, had an application they filled out and, we've had one, so I don't know why we don't have it anymore. So I think we've had one, so.
Do we have an ordinance?
We don't have an ordinance, we do have an application though. Yeah,
Okay, so.
and the process is even on the application, it says council approval date. So the process is what
Okay,
we
so,
brought here
so,
tonight.
so we do have applications, and they filled them out, and we've had them previously. So now we're gonna put an ordinance together
Yeah,
to put that, to just destroy all that?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have no guidelines
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
what we
I
accept,
think we
what
need
we
to do
don't
that for our
accept.
citizens, don't we?
Well,
Yeah.
what needs to happen is the city needs to have an ordinance, just like when we consider a liquor license or when you consider a
Yeah.
conditional use
think we-
permit.
yeah, we
You need to
to
have
do
some sort of guidelines in place so that someone, so if someone comes in and you deny their application, they can't say that it's arbitrary and capricious and then
Okay.
file some
And
sort
one
of
of the
a
things
discrimination
that,
suit.
I want to say, not saying, Andy to answer is, I don't feel comfortable asking people about their health history. That's not my job. And there are HIPAA laws and everything for a
They
reason.
will do
So,
that.
Right.
but
Well,
I don't feel
HIPAA law would
comfortable,
not apply to
well,
the council,
I don't feel
but
comfortable
I
saying like,
understand.
like,
Yeah.
why do you need this and everything. That's not my place, and we don't have an ordinance, and I don't wanna overstep my boundaries.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
I think it would be wise to consider, I can do a little research, I can put together a draft ordinance for consideration at a workshop, and we can have a discussion about this, I think that would be wise.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Well, we,
It just said applications, there's no resolution, it said approval.
well, I mean, I do think there are 2 applications pending,
So I
right?
have to
So
make
I
a
think there
motion
should be a motion to postpone.
Okay,
those
motion to
applications.
postpone the approval of 2 applications for residential curbside disabled parking until the
Motion.
September workshop.
I would change the word approval to consider.
Consider, a motion to consider the approval of.
No, just consider. the
Motion to
application.
consider 2 applications for residential curbside disabled parking signs.
You could also just table it indefinitely, since we're going to have, I think that would probably be a better move, is to just
Table?
table.
I need a motion to table.
Yeah, so motion to table these matters.
I make a
and-
motion to table
Motion.
the applications. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Oh, citizen comment.
Kimberly Miller.
She's gone, Kim's gone.
I just still have to say it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just-
And I'm sorry, there's another young lady that would like to speak. I don't know her name, sorry.
Look at That's right. It goes with you need to talk on the mic. Well, I'm Yolanda, so I already like you. Look at So I had a few things to say. Harchester Park, it's a mess back there. I understand your point that it's that we can't take care of what we have. But something gotta be done back there. It's horrible. It's overgrown. They have taken these poles, the Spire won't even go back there. So they put these ugly poles in front of my house, all along the side. And that's horrible. So every division has a some kind of rec care, like let's see, Delwood has something, St. Anne's has something, Normandy has nothing. We can have something back there, something, but it's overgrown, it's horrible. But when I grew up over here, so we used to go back there to play. It was plenty of time. There was a tennis court back there, there was volleyball, so there was stuff done. So people know about it if we get it out there. I can't even get on the bike track because I'm scared to go back there. It's horrible. You'll get killed back there. Nobody will find you till next year. And also, what was else I wanted to tell about that park? Oh, I want a carport on my property, but what is you? You're the code enforcement?
No, code enforcement.
I did talk to Rick, but
Yeah.
he talks over my head, but we'll see. But yeah, because I really need a car because the sidewalks, I love the sidewalks that they put in front of the house, even though they replaced my sod with stupid grass, but I'm working on it. But I need a carport or a garage. I don't know if it's gonna be enough room there because that would be the only thing that gets me to have to move out of it because I need a carport for my car, so I had to catch Rick and talk to him, so I'll give him a call, but yeah, I totally agree, we gotta maintain it, if we're gonna put something back there, it's gotta be maintained, but.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I don't like the idea of putting concrete on the side, because that's horrible, that's urban jungle, that's horrible. We can make it pretty, even if we volunteer, take turns to like maybe once a month, somebody from Ward 1, 2, 3, 4, we go out and pick up the trash or whatever, but we have to invest in our own as well, so that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Just in response to folks showing up every 30 days with a complaint, that's not true. I think every time I step up to this podium, I try to say something positive about what's going on in Normandy. The ongoing issue is that there's no word of any follow-up, any concerns. I think I've called the non-emergency number so much, my number comes up and they get an eye twitch. Seriously. And so, but there's never any follow-up. They ask for your phone number, no one follows up, right? And so it gives the illusion that nothing is being done. So, no, I'm not waiting 30 days to come in, every 30 days to complain. This stuff, I think last month I made maybe 6 calls on behalf of residents who are done because they're calling and nothing is getting addressed. Maybe it is, but I don't know. Again, no one's calling us to say, hey, we went and, and checked out that concern that you had. So that's, it went in the reality, that's my reality. That's our reality, that nothing is being followed up on. You're asking for a phone number, and our phone number rings about any type of resolution or follow-up.
Lady Stacy, unfortunately, we don't know the time that's being called, but that's something to be addressed.
So I think, there needs to be a motion for a closed session and then a motion to adjourn the regular session.
Motion to go into closed session, to discuss.
Well, do we usually adjourn from? Okay, just a motion for a closed session.
Motion for a closed session. All in favor?
Hold on.
Who's second that motion?
Second.
Thank you.
So it's the motion for closed session needs to specify what we're going to, like, a motion basically the motion should be a motion to enter into closed session to discuss a personnel matter and a legal matter, and there does need to be a roll call vote.
Okay, motion to go into closed session to discuss a legal matter.
And a personnel matter.
Oh, and a personnel matter. Roll call vote, please.
Okay, Councilman Stockton-Hubbard,
Yes.
Councilwoman Cleveland,
Yes.
Councilman Jackson,
Yes.
Councilman Evans,
Yes.
Councilwoman Shivers. Yes. Councilman Nelson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Valle. Yes.
That's it?
Okay.
Watson, got it, thank you.